Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geeky Geezers. I am your host, Aged Boomer. This is my co-host, PaPa Pacelli.
Hey, how you doing?
All right, hi everybody. Hello, Miss Melissa Harris, Horizon Talker. You're both here. Cool. Big
Big
Al
Al. Big
presents.
Al's first.
Have a great stream, guys. Thank you.
Yep, yep, yep.
Okay, and we're going to be doing a movie on the final night of the month, so that'll be interesting. Okay.
That's awesome.
All
If
right,
I
it's
can just
12:20.
front load this with just a little bit, just to touch on what we were saying in the green room. Guys, no spoilers. Okay? Do not drop spoilers in the comments.
For the new
For anything. For anything.
Right.
Okay? That should just go without saying. Okay? Just because you've seen something, just because your friend saw something, doesn't mean that everyone has, okay? And if we spoil something, we will at least front load it with, we're going to talk about this. If you don't want to hear it, look away for a little while or whatever. Don't just be a jerk and drop stuff in the comments, okay?
Yeah.
Be respectful to the other people in the stream.
I know there's a lot of stuff flying out there, but we are going to get to everything eventually on this. Trust me.
Yep,
We
yep.
pick things apart. But how's everybody doing tonight? Hello, Nanette. Hi, Nanette.
Oh, Netta, you're a sweetie. Love you too.
Okay. So let's see. What have you been? Have you been this week?
Yeah, I mean,
A little
about as well as we could be these days when you're locked in your own little concentration camp.
Yeah, and they're locked some places in the country, and other places are wide open. But anyway,
Yeah.
not that we want to get political or anything, right?
No, it's just reality. It's like, I wanna smuggle my wife and I out of Illistan and get down south. I mean, it's the reverse underground railroad already. Jeez.
So, anyways, here we are. It's October. Are you getting in the Halloween mood at all? Anything?
Well, it is scary, that's for sure. Yeah, no, you were with me on Friday where we started talking about the holiday season and scary things, and I was gonna take what I was talking about with the toys on Friday and do a more rounded out video, but I didn't get around to doing that today. I actually got caught up on a separate personal project for Netter, but I'll get that out hopefully this week if things aren't too crazy at work.
As long as you have booze, though, right?
Oh God, I swear it's the only thing that gets me through some days.
You didn't ask me what I'm sipping on.
What are you sipping on?
Arizona iced tea with lemon flavor. What is this lemon flavor nonsense?
All it is they put a little bit of citric acid in it. That's really what it is. That really is what it is. But I would encourage you, ginger and lemon are going to help you with that sniffle of yours.
It's just I don't like it. Good evening, Aged Boomer and Troy Pacelli. Hello,
And
Auditor
you guys
Jeff.
have got to expect that, when you dial into a show called Geeky Geezers, we're going to be talking about the things that ail us and what we can take to feel better. It's just, what two old guys talk about.
Okay, laugh out loud, Editors Network. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
So, anyways, what else is going on tonight? Let me see. Well, I don't know. You want to start rambling about the good old days now? We could do that.
We absolutely can. And you wanted to talk about some Halloween-ish sort of
I think we're going to do some
good old
spooky stuff,
days.
at least till the last night. We're actually going to be doing a movie rewatch on the final night. I've never done a rewatch on this channel. It's not going to be a common thing, but Halloween, I don't want to be talking about depressing pop culture news. I figure we can have some fun on Halloween night. If you
Yeah, if we're gonna be scared, we want to be scared of fiction, not reality.
And I'll make sure it's a movie that y'all can watch too at the same time. I found one that I think it's available anywhere. So
Yeah,
as long as you
that's
have
a good
internet.
idea. That's a good idea.
But anyway,
well, it's going to be kind of hard to tune into us if they don't have internet.
well, that's true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Anyways. But anyway, I was watching a movie called Vamp the other night. I'd never seen it before. Have you heard of it?
I did. I believe I saw it. I'm sure I did.
It's a movie from the 80s.
86, I think.
It is a movie, and it's about these two college fraternity guys. They're trying to get into a fraternity, and they say, "Listen, we don't want to do all this pledge BS. What do you want?" Okay, and the guys are like, "We want a stripper." Okay, we'll get a stripper for you for this weekend. Okay, and some booze. Okay, and then you'll let us into the fraternity. And then they befriend this rich guy who they need their car, they need his card. It's played by the guy that played Long Duck Don. Remember him from
Hmm.
16 Candles? He's in it. And the guy that played Robert Downey Jr.'s friend in how the guy that looks kind of like Robert Downey Jr. in Weird Science, he's in it.
Oh yeah.
So it's like you have all these John Hughes cast-offs, and they go to this.
Well, you know who else was in it was Deirdre Pfeiffer, Michelle Pfeiffer's younger sister.
No way.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, I know. I thought she was striking, but I didn't know. Didn't quite recognize her. Okay, she's the barmaid and she's the cocktail waitress in the. So they go down to the strip club in this weird part of town, and they're watching all the different performances on stage, and then they see this one that's being performed by Grace Jones, and like she's like in this white makeup and
Yeah.
like this clown red hair, and like her
Yeah.
body is all like it's black and white and different designs, and like he's like, she's the one, that's the one we're gonna get, and I'll pay high top dollar. And then he goes to meet her in the back, and she looks like she's gonna make a move on him, and he's like, oh, this is great. And then out come the fangs, and she's a vampire.
Of course.
And and the funny thing is that there's comical stuff. Like you have the guy that runs the club who acts like he wants to go to Vegas. He's like an old timey Italian guy, and he wants to go to Vegas and start a club out there. Like and it's just kind of funny, and it's creepy. Like you have this little girl that's around the street. She looks hungry, and she's a vampire too. And it's like, and I noticed that in the '80s, you just had all of these vampire movies. That's what I started thinking. Remember the Lost Boys?
I do remember the Lost Boys. That was really one of the better ones.
That's part of the yeah.
I mean, and that movie, thematically, there's a lot of influence there, as a lot of '80s films did. Had a great deal of influence. If you guys are watching the Stranger Things, there are some references to Lost Boys, and just a lot of '80s horror and a lot of '80s sci-fi and so forth in that. But the Lost Boys was a big one, and that one hit at just the right time because in high school, my first major musical in high school was Peter Pan. So that whole idea of the Lost Boys and everything and not growing up and all that kind of stuff, that kind of, really, that double meaning kind of really hit me when I saw that one.
And we got Corey Haim and Corey Feldman, right?
The Coreys, that's right. That's right. And I mean, talk about this whole idea that the kids being vampire hunters and all that kind of stuff. Tell me that wouldn't work into a great role-playing game,
It's funny. You could do a role-playing game based on that movie, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, the funny thing is, he stops. What is it? First, okay, what's the plot? They go to their grandfather's house, right? Because their mom got a divorce and they separated. And she's got nothing, so she goes to move in with the grandfather. And he's a little bit of an odd character, right? He's into taxidermy, and he gets the TV guide in the mail, and he says, I don't see a TV here. And he says, if you get the TV guide, you don't need a TV.
Right.
So they go down to the local carnival right after dark, and that's when Corey Haim walks in the comic book store and is talking about Superman and Batman comics, and he runs into the Frog Brothers, right? The Corey Feldman and the other actor, but remember?
Right.
And then Kiefer Sutherland is a leader of a vampire gang, basically, right?
Exactly.
And I don't know, that movie was a lot of fun. Okay.
Yeah, and there's some twists and turns and who's really the head vampire and all that kind of stuff. Little twist at the end. Very, very interesting stuff.
Yeah, and of course the grandfather saves the day, which is the best part of the movie.
Exactly.
it's that's one thing I couldn't stand about this place. All the vampires. Remember, he's known all along and didn't say anything. It's, let's see.
What was the Fright Night was another great one.
Yeah,
the original. I mean, the remake was okay, but the original Fright Night was really good.
Yeah, Chris Sarandon.
Roddy McDowall. Yeah, that was a really, really good movie. The whole idea of the vampire that moves in next door teenage kid, sees some things in a rear window sort of way, and it's like, ooh, that's not too cool.
And of course, he watches these old horror movies. There's a horror movie host who's played by Roddy McDowall, and he used to star in a lot of these old gothic horror movies, like from back in the day. And he's like, he must know how to stop vampires because he's been in all these vampire movies.
And of course, he's just an actor who doesn't believe any of this stuff.
And it was cool seeing Roddy McDowall in one of these movies too, though. And and they have to stop. And the whole thing is, of course, you're a kid, you say a vampire's moved in next door, everyone's going to think you're nuts, right? Okay,
yeah,
but
yeah.
And it's in the modern '80s, and it's not, you're not in the gothic, gothic England or anything like that.
But I do have to say, that we were talking before the show about this whole idea of the romantic vampire. Chris Sarandon, he really had that appeal, right? Now, there's no doubt he was a monster. I mean, he was.
Oh yeah.
And when he vamped out, it was like, oh crap, But
he's one of those great actors that could play the leading man or the monster. He was also in a favorite horror movie of mine called The Resurrected, which is based on an old H.P. Lovecraft's novella. But yeah, Chris Sarandon though is a vampire. He and the effects were good. And
I mean, and as long as we're talking about Chris Sarandon and vampires, we also got to talk about his wife Susan Sarandon and her vampire film from 2 years earlier, The Hunger.
I haven't seen that one. Talk to me about The Hunger.
You've got to see The Hunger. So I had been interested in seeing The Hunger ever since I saw Siskel and Ebert's review of it. And the scene is Catherine Deneuve and Susan Sarandon. And Catherine Deneuve is playing the piano. She's playing the aria from, what is it, Lakmina or whatever? Anyway, it's a famous aria. If you heard it, you'd recognize it. They've used it in a lot of commercials. Very beautiful. Two women singing. And she's explaining the story of these two women. And Susan Sarandon, who's sitting there, in a T-shirt, drinking a glass of wine, says, "Is it a love story?" Catherine Deneuve says, "Well, I did say it was about two women, or it was sung by two women." And Sarandon says, "But is it a love story?" And then it starts kind of, it's a very steamy kind of thing. So I won't ruin it, but it gets really hot. It gets really hot.
I should check it out. I know it's in a Warner Archives collection. Maybe I'll pick that up as a Halloween present to myself.
And in fact, I'm actually starting to read the novel it's based on, and Nanette picked up for me the other two books in that series. So yeah, some pretty good stuff. Again, like I always say, books are so much better than the movies because they go back into the backstory, of where Catherine Deneuve's character, how she became a vampire back in ancient Rome, or was it ancient Egypt? I don't know, but because she's in both, and she's seen a great deal of history. In fact, she one of the humans that she turns into a vampire was the rebel slave Spartacus. And they get really into the history there. I kind of really dig that, because she's looking for someone who would be very strong and be able to, bear the, vampire lineage or whatever. Because there's this little problem she has. She's immortal, but every time she turns someone else into a vampire, they're great for like a couple centuries, and then they rapidly age and die.
Huh.
And so she's trying to find a way to keep her current lover, who's been with her for a couple hundred years, played by David Bowie. Huh. Yeah. He starts to suddenly rapidly age, and that's where Susan Sarandon comes in. She's a doctor working with, aging and, premature aging and stuff like that. And she's trying to help, and it helps that she just happens to have her hair cut exactly the same way David Bowie does. And, yeah,
The Hunger is on HBO Max.
Check it out, my friend.
Okay,
It is a good
right.
one. It is a good one.
Big Al was asking if we ever saw Once Bitten with Jim Carrey.
Absolutely, I did. In fact,
Yeah.
what's really crazy is if you want to know what I looked like in high school, just look at him in that movie. The way he dressed, the way he wore his hair, I swear to goodness. I've gone back and watched that movie in years, years after it's been out, and I saw it when it first came out. Didn't even realize at the time. Looking at it now and looking at myself in my high school yearbook, I'm like, holy crap, he could have been my twin. It's crazy.
Yeah, that was one of his earlier roles, right? There's a wonderful dance number in that movie. There's a dance off with his girlfriend. And
yeah.
The vampire woman that's trying to turn him, who's played by a model, right? I don't remember what her name was. She was like a famous model. But it's a fun little one of these teeny bopper vampire comedy horror movies. Basically, that's what I like to call.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, which one do you mean? His girlfriend was played by Karen Coppins.
Yeah. No, the one who played the lead vampire.
Oh, Lauren Hutton.
Lauren Hutton. Thank you.
Yes. Oh, she was wow.
Yeah,
she was absolutely wow.
Auditor Dread is bringing up Nick Cage from the film Vampire's Kiss. What have you seen that one?
Oh my gosh, yes! You've got to see that. Some of the famous Nick Cage memes come from that movie.
Is he Nick Cagey in that? Is he?
He is. This is premier Nick Cage. This is exactly the Nick Cage people refer to when they're talking about Nick Caginess.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, okay. It is hysterical, and it's been a long time since I've seen it, but as I recall, they play with the whole idea of, are the vampires real, or is this all just him like going insane?
I see. So is it really a vampire, or is he?
Has he really turned? Is he really turning into a vampire? The person that turned him into a vampire, was that really a vampire, or Yeah, it's worth checking out. You got to see it.
Okay.
Yeah, the 80s really were a great time for really good vampire films. Yeah.
Oh, Liz Harris says Marcy from Married with Children was in Fright Night. That's correct.
Yes, she was. Back then, I thought she was hot. And then, she went a very different route.
We didn't know at the time, right?
1987, My Best Friend is a Vampire. I remember seeing that one. That wasn't such a good. It doesn't stand out in my memory too well, so I can't really say. But David Warner was in it.
Was he a vampire?
He plays Professor McCarthy. I don't really no. He was like the vampire hunter. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that one because and that one's on HBO Max too. For those of you that happen to subscribe to HBO Max.
Nicolas Cage as Nicolas Cage at his peak Cage performance aside of Face Off. Oh man, Face Off. I saw it 3 times in the movie theater. Don't ask me why, because once was enough. But anyway, I'm trying to think of any other vampire 80s movies. It seemed like vampires was just a thing in the 80s. And I think it was let's take the John Hughes style teen comedy movie and throw vampires into the mix.
And throw a vampire into it and go a little bit scarier, yeah.
Except for that Hunger movie, which sounds like 9.5 Weeks meets vampire.
It was it was very psychological. It wasn't really horror. It was until the end. The end just, excuse the term, batshit crazy, but it's like a certain amount of schadenfreude because I don't want to ruin it. You really need to see it.
Gotcha.
But I had it on when I finally got a chance to see it because I didn't get to see it until I was a little bit older, and that scene paid off. I was really glad I finally got to see it. Pretty much wore out the VHS tape.
Okay, so you recommend The Hunger this Halloween? Okay.
Oh yes, absolutely. Really, anytime is a good time for that movie. I'm not a big Susan Sarandon fan, except for that movie.
Okay, all right. She was also Rocky Horror Picture Show, but that wasn't that vampires in, I don't think, right?
Well, depends on how you look at it. It was
No.
kind of a vampire movie,
It's
sort
got
of.
a bunch of stuff in it. I don't know. There was Life Force, but now we're getting out of the teen comedy era.
Yeah.
Life Force with the space alien.
That was the one with Patrick Stewart, right?
That gets his head explodes, and there's a naked vampire woman running around and like making out with guys.
That movie was just freaking bizarre. I tried watching it, and it was good enough as an avant-garde kind of film, but yeah, I wouldn't even begin to try and explain it and analyze it. That one's out there.
No. Okay. All right, but I'll keep an eye out for The Hunger and Vampire's Kiss, and those other ones check out. In fact, I think from Scream Factory for a bit, you could get Twice Bitten in a double feature with Love at First Bite, which is not an '80s vampire movie, '79, but Love at First Bite, excellent excellent comedy movie, right?
Yeah.
Love at First Bite. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Pretty good.
Okay. So that's it. Hope you guys are looking forward to Halloween this year. Right?
I am. I always am. This is my favorite time of year.
All right. So, I guess moving along to the news, right? Yay.
Yeah, let's get into it. Get into our weekly dose of dismal Disney, as they say over on Clownfish.
Everyone's happy. Everyone's happy.
Disney is a perfect place. At least that's what they would have you believe.
Hunger? No.
Oh, don't tell me it's going to be about two guys now.
Anyway, Scarlett Johansson and Disney's brutal Black Widow legal battle is over. Yay!
I mean, this was the biggest nothing burger. I honestly get the distinct impression that it went to court and Disney said, we wanted to settle out of court. Let's settle out of court. Okay, it's settled. Why are we going through all this?
Happy days are here again. Come on. You probably don't like the song either. Anyway, let me read from the article, okay, shall I?
Please.
Interrupt me at any point because I may get sick of reading this. Okay, while Marvel
I'm sorry. That struck me as funny.
While Marvel Studios, I feel like, you know what this feels like? This feels like you have like you're friends with a couple and they're having a nasty spat and then they work it out or something, and it's like they still put you through HE double hockey sticks while you
yeah, I can see that, sure.
Okay. While Marvel Studios got off to a flying start with its Phase 4 streaming slate in 2021, if you say so, the theatrical side of things has not gone over nearly as smoothly as it had in the days of MCU's past. Due to the worldwide pandemic, there's a worldwide pandemic going on? Okay. Disney was forced to utilize a new release strategy for Phase 4's first Black Widow. This came with having the movie debut in theaters via Premier Access on Disney Plus at the same time in early July 2021. While the movie itself made its expected impact on the MCU's overarching narrative, things took a turn for the worse due to these unforeseen circumstances. In late July, I already know about all this. Let's move down, okay? Now, after 2 months of public drama, things have truly settled between the two parties. Yeah, she was suing them, and they were saying no, and it's this big bang. We've been talking about this for weeks, okay?
Yeah.
Hollywood reporters revealed that Walt Disney Studios and Scarlett Johansson have come to a settlement over the breach of contract lawsuit Johansson filed regarding the release of Marvel Studios' Black Widow. Specific details on the deal were not publicly disclosed, although Deadline's Dominic Patter reported that Disney will end up paying Johansson over $40 million via multiple payments.
Mm-hmm.
Someone on Midnight's Edge or someplace saying this is really $30 million. And they're just going to pay it off slowly, so the interest picks up until it's $40 million. Okay.
Really, if you want a real by the numbers, analysis of this, the channel to check out is Valiant Renegade. He does a really good deep dive on this. But yeah, it comes down to basically, she's basically getting what she wanted. And she is dodging a huge bullet. This could have gone very, very badly for her. If Chapek and the powers that be at Disney wanted to be vindictive, they could pretty much have buried her and ended her career. I think the only reason that didn't happen was because they realized that she's really just a pawn for somebody else, a bigger fish that they're going after.
A statement from Scarlett Johansson, shared by recording Arid Couch, celebrated the resolution and her experiences with Disney. Johansson shared her excitement for the opportunity to continue working with Disney in years to come. I am happy to have resolved our differences with Disney. I'm incredibly proud of the work we've done together over the years, and I've greatly enjoyed my creative relationship with the team. I look forward to continuing our collaboration in the years to come. And let me see. Chapek, chairman of Walt Disney, Alan Bergman, issued his own statement via Variety, not Chapek, in which he expressed his gratitude for the situation, seeing a resolution. He praised Johansson's contributions to the Marvel Cinematic Universe while looking forward to continuing their work together on future projects as well. I'm very pleased that we have been able to come to a mutual agreement with Scarlett Johansson regarding Black Widow. We appreciate her contributions to the Marvel Cinematic Universe and look forward to working together on a number of upcoming projects, including Disney's Tower of Terror.
Yeah, everyone's looking as forward to that as they are to Cruella 2, I'm sure. But I'm not even trying to be funny on that. If you really compare the deal that she basically got the Emma Stone treatment. They said, okay, what'll make this go away? What dollar value? And you want another movie too? Okay, done. Now let's end this thing. Because like I said, they don't want to get caught up in some kind of lefty communist, you hate women thing and all this kind of thing. It's just,
it's time's up, Chapek, that sort of thing.
Let's put it all away, because we all know that it was not really Scarlett Johansson's idea to do this, and we already know. I mean, this is not a big secret. Chapek has come out and said, yeah, we got to really change the way we're contracting going forward because the paradigm has changed. And then this lawsuit comes up and he goes, what did I just say? So what it really was is Kevin Feige was trying to make Disney look really bad, trying to make Bob Chapek look really bad. And what would the numbers have shown if they had gone to court? Okay, if they'd have actually gotten into it. Okay, Scarlett would have had to have been completely upfront about every dollar she was making and what her deal was, which hadn't previously been disclosed. But Disney started talking about it because if we're going to go to court, this is how it's going to go, Scarlett. And then they start looking at numbers. How much money would Black Widow have made if this, if that, if we had done the other? Well, gee, I don't know, Scarlett. I mean, what happened to Shang-Chi? How did that do?
Yeah.
And I think the court case, if it had gone to court, it actually would have been even worse for Scarlett. So Disney said, we don't want to go to court, even though we know we would win. Why don't you just take what basically we're giving you what you asked for. And we would have done that if you had not taken us to court, And we'll even give you this movie Tower of Terror that nobody wants to see, that we're going to lose money on.
Horace Larson says she hasn't let a film outside of Black Widow since Ghost in the Shell. I think she got blacklisted for whitewashing after that. We already saw her get run out of one major movie project since that was the one where she was going to play a trans person, I believe.
In fairness, I think I have to be intellectually honest here. I think that's all a bunch of bullshit, right? I mean, she's an actress trying to take a role. Don't fucking blame her for that.
No, but he's saying that the other Hollywood type.
I know. I'm not directing it at him. I'm directing it at her critics that are saying, I'm getting as sick of that as I am about, this black actress isn't black enough to play this black character. It's like, the fuck do you want? Do you want us to dig up the historical character's bones and dress them up and put them in the movie because no one else can play that person?
I've argued in the past, a lot of these people, they don't know what they want to do is complain. That's what they
You
want
better
to do.
find yourself some real Klingons to play Klingons in Star Trek then. Dumbasses.
Yeah, well, we'd have to we'd have to go mount a mission to Uranus, to find.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't know. Some
Okay.
people in Hollywood. No, never mind. But
Okay.
but yeah, I mean that's pretty much the size of it, and good. Now the powers that be at Disney can start focusing on the rest of the Marvel thing, and how is that doing, Kevin Feige? Remember what Bob Chapek said, in the quarterly earnings. We're now going to be going to short-term contracts, and every renewal is going to be based on performance. How are you performing, Kevin Feige? How is Marvel doing?
I have a question too about this Tower of Terror movie, if you don't mind my asking.
I'm not sure I know anything about it, but go for it.
Ask you. Do you think that this will be Twilight Zone Tower of Terror or just plain old Tower of Terror? Because if you go to the ride, it's supposed to be the Twilight Zone ride, like Rod Serling narrates it, and then you go into the tower. But Paramount owns Twilight Zone, correct? So would they have to either make a deal with Paramount to get Twilight Zone or do something Rod Serling just put Twilight Zone in it? Or are they going to nix that and just call it Tower of Terror?
You actually have a great question there, because I think that depends on what their plans are for the attraction at the park going forward. Are they going to stick with that Paramount thing, or are they going to put it back to what it originally was? I just assumed that they were going to go with their original concepts behind Tower of Terror, the way they did with the Haunted Mansion. And Pirates of the Caribbean for that matter.
Yeah, but it was always tied to Twilight Zone, and I wonder if maybe this could be an opportunity for them. We'll just stick Scarlett Johansson in the ride. We can get rid of Rod Serling and not have to pay money to Paramount for the license for Twilight Zone.
Yeah, it could be option C, something else entirely different. And then they completely revamp the ride and and drop their contract with Paramount. I don't know. We'll see.
It is one of the best rides at that park. Have you ever been on Tower of Terror?
I have not.
If you're a Twilight Zone fan, you'd get a kick out of it.
I have seen the behind the scenes and how the attraction is. I find those to be incredibly fascinating.
Yeah.
And that was pretty good.
Yeah, they did a good job on that one, yeah. But anyway, Disney analyst cuts stock price target on streaming subscriber reset.
Yep.
That's like the one streaming channel I have not had access to is Disney Plus. I actually have now done HBO Max. My sister got into the deal, and I'm like, okay, well, she got rid of Netflix, so we're doing HBO Max for a little while. So that what do they call that? That when people just dump one and try to pick up the other one.
Turnover? I don't know.
Turnover. We had a name for it a few months ago. It's my memory, Anyway, Paradise Lost with the title of Wells Fargo analyst Stephen Cahal's Tuesday report, in which he cut his price target on Walt Disney stock by $13 to $203, citing a streaming subscriber reset. That don't sound good.
Mm-mm.
The Wall Street expert maintained his overweight rating on the Hollywood conglomerate shares, though. We look to the Netflix experience and content amortization. Amortization. What does that mean? Okay, content.
How you plan out how it's going to do over time.
I don't think I've ever seen that word before. Okay, expectations to remain confident in Disney, but our price target falls as we reset our sub numbers. He explained.
Yeah, so that's all a bunch of technical, financial, verbiage. That's basically saying, we got to rethink the stock price because streaming isn't doing as well as we were hoping it would. And this is what everybody's been saying all along. Nobody really thought that they could just keep going up and up and up and up and up, and there'd be no ceiling to this. You eventually hit a point where you got all the subscribers you're gonna get. You've saturated what you can expect, and it's only going to go down from there.
I'm sure that Gina Carano disaster didn't help anything.
It sure did not. And there have been some other things that have happened since then that have really pissed people off. I mean, it may have done well, but I'm sorry, but WandaVision and Loki and all that has not been as good as the fans had hoped that it would be.
Loki sounded terrible. Really, it might be the worst of all three of those. I don't know. Disney
And it's not like anyone's going to be signing up because, oh, you know what? I missed Shang-Chi at the theater. I better subscribe so I can stream it now.
Disney CEO Bob Chapek told a recent investor conference that he remained bullish and confident about long-term subscriber growth, but expected only increase in the low single-digit millions from subscribers. So I guess he's bracing the investors for what might not be something so hot. Is that what?
Well, and you have to. You have to manage expectations, and you have to do so while being realistic. And I don't think there's any big shockers here. I think everybody knows. And that includes Disney, and that includes just about everyone in streaming, that streaming is another revenue source. That is a good thing, but it is not a replacement for other revenue sources, right? We still need the movie theaters. We still need physical media.
In Disney's defense, I mean, I'm not all negative on them. I think they still do see the value in theatrical releasing, home video releasing, and making money off of those. They're not like Warner Brothers kind of went all in on the day and date, but Disney was still wanting to keep the theaters propped up, even though they really do want to win the streaming war as well.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, for everybody that's concerned about physical media going away, Disney is still the leader of the pack, and they show no signs of dropping physical media.
The only thing they haven't done are their series that are exclusive to Disney.
Yeah, they're being a little tight-fisted with their series, but that can only go so far.
I think at some point Mandalorian will become available. Probably
they've actually said it absolutely will.
They're probably going to wait for the whole thing to finish up, right? And then,
they may and do it as
a little while. Okay.
Actually, if they want to be really underhanded, I would hate it if they did this, but I also wouldn't blame them if they did this. It's going to go 3 seasons. So at the end of the 3rd season, they could do one of 2 things. Release all 3 seasons together. Okay, that's fair. That I'd like to see. Or they release a season a year, and then they do all 3 of them as a big bonus with some other tchotchkes in it.
We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. They could end up doing that.
And then it'll go back in the Disney vault.
Yeah. Concluded Cahill, though, if Disney can ramp up content breadth and depth as its plans to... hold on. Ugh. If Disney can ramp up content breadth and depth as it plans to per the December 2020 Investor Day, then we think fiscal year 2024 guidance is achievable. We see the Disney Plus fan event and build of content through calendar year 2022 as the next major set of catalysts. Investors need to see that Disney can bring in new subs, especially outside of the core genres. Is Cahill a robot? Who talks like this?
Yeah,
I
basically, again, it's. I understand what they're saying here. It's basically we have great expectations through 2024, okay, but we have to manage those expectations. They haven't gone as well as we'd expected, so we have to set things back a little bit and. Yeah, like you said, manage expectations.
Do you know what I was expecting these Disney Plus series to be like for the Marvel? I was expecting them to be kind of like what they did with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but with a bigger budget. And, you could take them or leave them, but they would be fun watches. From what I've heard, they have not been fun watches, okay?
They have not been fun watches. They have been the equivalent of a film stretched out over a whole season of television.
And I've heard them kind of preachy, too. So
very preachy, very full of your, SJW bullshit. And not really giving the payoff that the fans had hoped for. If the writing was there, all those other things could be forgiven, right? But what's happening is they're putting this shit out very, very slowly in drips and drabs over weeks. You can't binge it. You got to watch each episode 1 a week, right? Which gives the YouTubers time to analyze and do fan theories and all this kind of stuff. And all the fan theories are better than what they're actually putting in the damn show. all the theories about, it was Mephisto who was behind everything, in because based on this comic and this little background Easter egg and blah 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 blah. And then I'm like, well, it turns out, yeah, all the Easter eggs were there, but they were all bullshit. They were all there literally to get people thinking that it was going to be something really, really great. And then they give us nothing. No Mephisto. It was Agatha all along. And, then we get all excited when we find out that the kid from the Fox, was cast as her brother. And so we were getting a little bit of, wibbly wobbliness here. No, it was a bunch of bullshit. They were that didn't go anywhere either. It's like, then why should I care? And why should I frickin' watch Loki after what you just did with WandaVision? That's where all the fans are at this point.
Well, I have to tell you, Loki sounded not good, just from what I've heard. It sounded like a lot of talking, too.
Before we move on from WandaVision, I got to say one other thing. Everybody was talking about the fact that we were supposed to have gotten Doctor Strange in the last moments of the show, but they dropped him because you can't have any mansplaining, right?
Well,
Congratulations. Now you have no connection to the rest of the frickin' Marvel Universe because of that.
Well, they dropped Tony Stark from the Black Widow movie, too, so there you go.
And so now you literally have a bunch of standalone movies that are the Marvel Universe is Marvel Universe in name only at this point. It's not a universe. It's just a collection of unrelated stories now because they can't interconnect because of white man bad.
Horizon says weekly release is good for online buzz and keeping your name in the press, but you're right, it's really blown back on Disney half the time. Yeah.
See, and it would be exactly that, Horizon Talker, if the stories lived up to the hype. Unfortunately, it builds up all this hype, and it's window dressing. You get all excited about this really, really nifty thing, and then you find out it's just a cardboard cutout.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of other people have gone, you know what? Why am I paying for this streaming service? I'm better off just canceling this, getting the synopsis from the YouTube video channels, and the fan theories are better than the actual films. So screw all this.
Okay, but moving on, we got some other Disney news. Disney works to combat merchandise madness with standby and virtual queues. I don't know if you were paying attention this week, but this was the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World. And I was watching videos, and apparently there were people over there at 5 a.m. waiting to get in. Big, huge crowd of people. Okay, so here, let me read a bit from this article. Happy birthday, Magic Kingdom and Walt Disney World Resort. While guests are flocking to your gates in massive numbers, it appears that some are all too eager to celebrate. Before 8 a.m. on Friday, October 1st, 2021, an altercation broke out in one of the Magic Kingdom's gift shops over merchandise, causing quite an unwanted ruckus. As Magic Kingdom's 50th anniversary is upon us, the most magical celebration of Earth is officially underway. Throngs of excited guests have already passed through the Magic Kingdom touch points alone, showing the love, passion, and sometimes madness they have for this world-class theme park. By about 7:30 a.m., Disney Park guests were making their way through the entrance tunnel to the fantasy theme park with little trouble. But high on some shoppers' list was merchandise at Disney's Main Street Emporium, Magic Kingdom's main gift shop. The line stretched all the way past the Main Street train station. There is clearly high demand to shop at the main merchandise location in Magic Kingdom on the morning of the 50th anniversary. Despite the virtual queue for limited edition merchandise, tense and anxious shoppers clashed inside over drink cups and tumblers, causing angry shouts, snatching cups, and broken shelves.
Wait a minute. Cups and tumblers? These are the Cabbage Patch Kids of Disney?
This is exclusive 50th anniversary merchandise that I don't think is going to be available for a while, okay? I think it was like, get it now or don't get it at all, okay?
Oh, jeez.
Take
Okay.
this a little seriously?
No, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm sure this is important to somebody. It's not my thing, but okay.
It says 50th anniversary on the Tumblr. Okay, a tweet from Jimmy Davis, a marketing expert, shared his disdain for wild shoppers and experience inside the shopping plaza this morning. We agree that order should be maintained. If you have a question about the piece of merchandise you've cast your eye on, simply ask a cast member. They are here to help and serve you. Had to protect the poor cast members putting out cups at the Emporium because crazy old ladies fighting over a stupid cup. Poor M's got trampled in several fights. Walt Disney World dropped the ball big time and put their cast members' lives at risk. It's irresponsible. Okay, that's from Jimmy Davis on Twitter. Okay. Another shopper and professional pharmacist, that Disney nerd, was shocked and scared by the behavior they witnessed, as described on their tweet here, inside the Main Street Emporium. While she agrees that the virtual queue was a great idea, it may not have been clear to all shoppers, and that may have led to the problem. The Disney Lifestyles, who shared their Disney merchandise in new fashion, Twitter user handle Disney Lifestyles, were caught in the hullabaloo, catching some tense moments in video footage as they attempted to navigate the massive gift shop. They saw already empty shelves, heard shouts, and viewed the overall uncomfortable, hustling crowd in both of their videos. Okay. What do you think so far?
Look, I mean, what this comes down to for me is it. I mean, it's really hard for me to. I mean, even though I had the reaction that I did, it's freaking glasses and tumblers and stuff. But put that aside, you know, I have my own things that I collect that are important to me, right? So I totally get that. I think my problem is this marketing concept where you create an artificial shortage on something and it creates these kinds of problems. If there is this much demand, then put out the first 5,000 of them in the Disney parks, and then a week later, make them available on Disney Online or something like that.
Oh, well, here's what I'm hearing, too. This is another thing that might have been going on. I think they're having supply chain problems. That was also part of the issue here. I read this article. Supply chain shortages facing in the stores are hitting them hard, making supply and demand topple over into what feels like a merchandise scavenger hunt. Know that Disney has ordered lots of merchandise and will continue to put on the shelves as it arrives. Like Cinderella, use patience, have courage. So I think part of it is not even the fact that I think they did intend to have more, but
look, I'm sorry, I have zero sympathy for Disney on this one because they backed the wrong horse politically on this. They have been totally behind the Biden juice and the mandatory sticks and all the other crap that has destroyed their business, destroyed business all over this country, is probably going to result in economic collapse. And then, shocker of shockers, you go to the store and you can't find anything. All the shelves are freaking empty. Of everything. We're talking food, cleaning products, toilet paper, all the basic essentials of life. So big shocker, you can't get tumblers and cups and, Cinderella merchandise.
Okay, but Horizon Talker is mentioning he thinks they probably could have done more to handle the crowds better. What do you think?
You know what they could do to handle the crowds better? Don't tell people you can only get, 1,000 of these things and then they're gone. Say, as soon as these run out, there will be more. And we will keep selling them until you don't want them anymore. That's how you make lots and lots of money while making all your patrons happy.
According to Clownfish, they said people were patrons were snatching stuff out of each other's bags and stuff while they were waiting in line, or I don't know.
Well, look, I made a partial joke when I compared this to the Cabbage Patch craze. Well, that's an artificial shortage because you knew that company was going to keep putting out those Cabbage Patch dolls until nobody bought them anymore, right? The problem was people wanted them now, so I can get them to my kid for Christmas. Okay, that's an artificial shortage. This is a double whammy. You know, you point out, yes, there is the supply and the supply problem. There's plenty of demand, but there's no supply because you can't get the frickin' truckers to cart this stuff in, okay, because there aren't enough truckers. You let them all go because they refuse to get the stick, you know? Congratulations, you made the problem for yourself. So you have that, but you also have the fact that these collectibles, in quotes, have an artificial scarcity to them. Disney says these are commemorative cups and only 10,000 are being made. Get them while you can. Okay, well, this is what the result is. This is squarely on Disney's head.
Okay. But impressive 50 years though, huh? 50-year celebration, huh? No?
Yeah, no, 50. It's been a great 50 years. And we're probably going to see the end of it. The way Disney's handling it. We won't see 75 at this rate.
CAA to buy ICM partners and major agency deal?
Yeah, now the reason I put this under Disney was because we were talking about CAA specifically when we were talking about the Scarlett Johansson thing. There is some direct connection in what's going on here. But this is big news for the entertainment industry that's going to affect everything.
Creative Artists Agency is acquiring rival ICM partners in a blockbuster deal that will consolidate the ranks of major Hollywood agencies as the representation undergoes a pandemic-era business shift. So I take it they're buying out their competition?
That's exactly right. And there are a lot of analysts that are looking at this as possible, well, not conflict of interest, but possibly a monopoly situation.
The companies led by CAA's Brian Lord, Kevin Huvane, and Richard Levette, and ICM's Chris Silberman did not disclose sale price. It said the deal will close later this year. Silberman will join CAA's shareholder board. The merging of Century City-based firms will leave three major talent firms, WMECA and UTA, that represent the bulk of deal making for the industry.
Yep. So here's what happens. We got Lord, who, CAA was on what I've been saying was the wrong side of the Disney case, the Scarlett Johansson thing. And he's making a power move. He's like, well, you know what? We'll just merge with this other big company and we will be the biggest and Disney will have to deal with us. I don't know how that's going to go. They first have to get through they got to deal with the law first. Like I said, there could be an argument made that this is a monopoly, that you're just going to have this one big company managing all talent in the entertainment industry. And that's not good for anybody. So I would be watching for Disney and all the other studios to come out and say, you know what? No, we don't think that's a good idea. And they start to put pressure on the powers that be. And suddenly, antitrust, sorry, you can't do it.
Interesting. CA reps Hollywood notables, including Steven Spielberg, George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Scarlett Johansson, and Will Smith, among many others, while ICM's clients include Shonda Rhimes, Michael Keaton, Samuel L. Jackson, Uma Thurman, and Alec Baldwin. Okay. So, big names here. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Obviously, Brian Lord, that's his name. Billy Lord's dad, Carrie Fisher's ex-husband.
Well, yeah, I mean, widower, I suppose.
Widower, I suppose. Okay, yeah. This March of last year, the representation business took a financial hit amid film and TV shutdown and the cancellation of live events and concerts. All major Hollywood agencies underwent significant layoffs during the pandemic, amid consolidation and agent and executive departures at the majors over the years. New independent firms like management company Range Media Partners have launched. Our strong financial position enables us to continue to expand and diversify our business, with service and representation remaining central to what we do and who we are, says CA's Lord, Huvane, and Lovett in unveiling the deal. Okay.
And what I take away from that is, oh, boo-hoo. We have a bunch of entertainment types out of work because of the pandemic of unknown origin. Yeah, well, you had no problem doing your propaganda commercials, pushing a certain ideology that's destroying your own industry. Live with it now.
Okay. But we have some home video release news, which I think may be of some interest to you.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Well, I always say if you love something, own the physical media. But I think we're going to be talking about some things that nobody really loves.
You haven't even seen it, okay? Can you not be so judgmental? Okay, Marvel and Disney set Shang-Chi.
You're a smart-ass old fart, you know that?
For Blu-ray, DVD, and 4K on November 30th, just in time for Christmas. Plus Kino's new cult streaming. No one cares about Kino cult streaming service. They have really cool movies, actually. I actually might be tempted to subscribe to that anyway, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about Shang-Chi. Now then, the big piece of announcement news today is that Marvel and Disney have just officially set director Destin Daniel Cretton's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings for release on Blu-ray, DVD, 4K, Ultra HD on November 30th, with the digital release expected on November 12th. So those of you who don't want to go physical, you can get a little earlier, okay?
Yeah.
Expect HDR 10 high dynamic range and Dolby Atmos audio on the 4K, while the Blu-ray will include 7.1 DTS HD master audio for those of you slumming it with just the 7.1 DTS, okay? I'm sorry. Extras on both will include audio commentary by Dennis Daniel Cretton and David Callahan, 2 featurettes building a legacy of family ties, a gag reel, deleted scenes. Among them, They're Waiting, Take a Shot, Apology, I'm Here, Pep Talk, Greatness, Escape Tunnel, 2 Sons, Postcard, Just Friends, and Do It Yourself. Those are the names of the deleted scenes.
Man.
That sounds like a ton of extra features to me. They used to put like these little short movies on the Marvel discs. They don't do that anymore, I guess. Okay. What do we think, chat? Shang-Chi on Blu-ray? Gonna pick it up?
I didn't go see it in the theater. I don't really have any.
Well,
and apparently, is it already on the streaming service?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's very confusing. Like I was on the HBO Max. I'm like, hey, is the James Gunn Suicide Squad movie on there? And it's like, nope, don't see it because it's only on there for a couple weeks and then they disappear. But I know Disney handles theirs differently. They don't do day and date, but they give it to you later. Does any of this make sense?
Not really. I think they're just
figure out releasing schedules.
Honestly, my feeling on this is they're just struggling to make money. They're trying to market any way they can at this point. And they're literally trying to make whatever pocket change they can off of Shang-Chi.
A gag reel. They're really trying to be a kung fu film. It'd be funny if like all the stunts were real and you see them getting messed up. Like, remember the old Jackie Chan movies where they would show the stunt reels at the end?
Oh, sure.
And like, there was that one, I think.
Because let's face it, with him, incredibly impressive. I mean, some of the stunts, seeing the outtakes and how they were done, are as impressive or more than, actually seeing it, finished in the film.
Some of the stunts he did, he ended up in the hospital. You see it happens like that. Did you ever see the movie Super Cop? I think he's on the helicopter at the end. I think it's Super Cop, and like he's flying and he goes into the sign. And the original idea for the stunt was he was supposed to fly right above the sign and not before he hits it.
Mm-hmm.
But when they shot it, he actually hits part of the sign and breaks it and goes through it.
Oh gosh,
and no, he actually got hit and they had to go to the hospital. They kept it in the movie.
There was I don't remember which movie it was.
I think it was Super Cop.
But there's a scene where he literally leaps across an alleyway from one building to another to land like a floor down on the
Yes, I remember that. Yeah,
What's it called? The fire escape.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it's a great scene in the
I
movie.
think it was Rumble in the Bronx. Yeah.
Maybe it was. It was a great scene in the movie, but when you see the outtake, when he makes the jump, his foot hits that railing and he broke his foot. So he gets rushed to the hospital. They put a cast on his foot, and then they paint the foot to look like a shoe. Because in a later scene, he's got it wrapped up, and he's
the cast is
wrapped up because he is what do they call that when you're being pulled behind a boat on skis? Water skiing on the cast. And I'm like, oh my God, because you don't notice or see these things in the movie itself, but then you see the outtakes and you're like, holy crap, that's like head and shoulders more impressive than what I actually saw in the movie.
Oh, yeah. I miss the 90s sometimes. I used to like those Jackie Chan movies, and they would actually show them over here in the United States on big screen.
Yeah.
Book of Boba Fett gets a premiere date from Disney Plus.
Yeah, and
What?
I have a weird feeling about this. I mean, obviously, I'm very, very excited, right?
Okay.
But go ahead and read the actual article.
Disney Plus revealed on Wednesday that its latest Star Wars spin-off series, The Book of Boba Fett, will premiere on the streamer on December 29th. The news came via Twitter. Temuera Morrison, Boba Fett, and Ming-Na Wen, Fanique Shand, if I'm saying that character name correctly, will star in the spinoff, with Robert Rodriguez joining as executive producer, along with the Mandalorian creator Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. Now, that's a big name, Robert Rodriguez.
It is, and it's a name that I respect a great deal, and I think he's going to do a great job.
Fans first got wind of the series after the credits of the season 2 finale of Mandalorian, in which we see Return of the Jedi character Bib Fortuna and Jabba's old right-hand man sitting on the throne in the old palace. Fennec enters, shooting one of the creatures around him and blasting the shackles off the blue dancing girl. Then Boba enters. Bib explains, "Boba, I thought you were dead." So, spoilers? Should I say? Okay. Anyway,
yeah, go ahead.
Boba
I mean, this is spoilers for something that's almost a year old now.
Okay, all right. So Boba then shoots him dead and takes the throne of Jabba's palace. Afterward, the title card reads, "The Book of Boba Fett coming December 2021." So they're keeping their promise.
Yeah.
Disney Brass has said there would be around 10 Star Wars series bound for the streamer, which has already announced Star Wars spin-offs, Rangers of the New Republic and Ashoka Tano, the latter based on Clone Wars cartoon character that was brought to life by Rosario Dawson on The Mandalorian. I thought Rangers of the Republic was canceled. Is it back?
I don't know. I've heard things going back and forth.
I thought it was put on a definite hold until the Gina Carano situation does or doesn't get figured out.
I don't know. Okay, so there's a couple things. First, that whole Gina Carano thing, we don't even know. We don't know what's going on with that, or if it even matters, if they've retooled it, or what the deal is with that. So on the second note, we don't know if that has direct impact on it, if it has been reworked. We do know that it was moved in the schedule, put, I think it was like third or whatever, when it was supposed to be second or something. I don't know, something like that. But everyone is kind of hopeful that means something's being reworked, something's happening, so it does still happen. Unfortunately, I don't have any great insights there. We can only say we'll have to wait and see.
Okay, so you looking forward to Book of Boba Fett?
I really am, but look at the release date. It just seems odd, doesn't it? I mean, why then? Why not earlier in December?
They are behind schedule, and that's the earliest they can bring it out, but they have to keep the promise of bringing it to December. Boom. I think that's why.
That's a great insight. I hadn't thought of it that way. Because I personally was thinking, well, why not just wait until after the first of the year? Then the holidays are done, and then
because they already promised it would come December.
I mean, so I guess technically they're keeping that.
Technically, they are.
Sure, but it comes off as like kind of a little New Year's surprise, I suppose. And I'm okay with it. I mean, I don't mind. But Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It just seems like such a weird release date, you know. But yeah, I'm excited, and I am really excited, as a lot of fans are, to see the toys that come out for this. But again, just like with Mandalorian and just like Grogu, right? They are way too slow on getting the toys out because it seems like they've been so concerned about the toys being spoilers, right? But they've got to start thinking this through because, you know, people were putting out Mandalorian and Grogu action figures, custom action figures, 6 months to a year before they actually started, you know, Hasbro started getting them out. Now, I have already, you know, that throne that he sat on in the last episode of The Mandalorian, I've already gotten off of someone Etsy's store a resin cast of that. If that now comes out from Hasbro, I'm not too terribly interested because I already have it. You know?
But you won't have the official one.
Exactly, but I don't care because I'm the same guy who, you know, buys the packaged figure and then opens it up because I need it for a diorama. If I've already got Jabba's throne and, you know, the Boba's throne that goes on top of Jabba's throne, I don't need to rebuy it so that I have it officially in package. You know, you too little, too late, Hasbro. You know,
well, what if the what is it, the throne, whatever, is just a repackaging of like the Emperor's throne thing from Rise of Skywalker that they just repackage as, yeah, it looks just like it, you know, like, I don't know.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
I know,
it's a very different.
Okay,
In fact, what's really cool, this is one of the things I love about Mandalorian. They really thought it through. The throne that you see in that picture of Boba Fett sitting on it clearly is in the same style as the dais that Jabba sits on, right down to those like monster faces that, you know, the chains hook onto.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, that's pretty cool. And somebody even took, and there's like an inscription over the arch of the back that says something in Huttese, and somebody actually translated it. It actually says something. I mean, those are the kind of details that they are actually thinking through, knowing fans will pay attention and dig into that stuff. I am fired up about that. You know, that just says that the people doing this are actually doing their homework. They're not, you know, the Pablo Hidalgos and the, you know, we'll just make up some, the J.J. Abrams, just make up some shit because it's fiction anyway. No, that doesn't work.
That could be J.J. Abrams' memoir. Just make up some shit.
Well, you know, his memoir is probably going to be called The Mystery Box. Doesn't matter what's in it. You know,
okay. That's
going to be his memoir.
What did the thing on Jabba's throne say? You said it was translated.
I don't remember. I'd have to look it up. I wasn't, you know, just the fact that it had meaning I thought was pretty cool. What it actually said probably wasn't that big a deal to stick out in my head.
Dune tops foreign box office with promising 77 million.
Yeah, and I put in a little update here too because this article's almost a week old. I pointed out that in fact, as of yesterday, the actual that 77 million was an expectation. It actually came out to 77.8 million.
Okay, so Dune grossed 26.3. Well, this might be out of date at this point, but that makes it the biggest overseas gross of the weekend. This is its second weekend, right? So.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, okay. So in other words, it made 20, whatever you just said, the first week, 77.8 million in its second week, or cumulative.
Okay, so that gives Denis Villeneuve's 165 million sci-fi actioner a promising 76.5 million after just 2 weeks of overseas release. It's not remotely time for Warner Brothers and Legendary to stop popping the champagne or announcing a sequel. As last week sees brutal competition from Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and No Time to Die. However, I may want to start scanning Trader Joe's for some organic grass-fed crow. Oh, that's a joke? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we'll see.
Well, and that's just incredibly short-sighted because this isn't all the money it's going to be making. We're talking about something that has not even been released in the U.S. yet, where it's going to make the lion's share of its money.
And it will get a release in China.
And it is going to get a release in China. That's the other big surprise. So everyone was saying and this is true. The production company had already decided we're not going to make our money back on this. I'm not so sure. They actually might. But what is important is they have, despite what that article says, they have in fact made enough money for them to know that this is a worthwhile franchise to continue to invest in.
All of this is irrelevant if audiences don't want to see Dune in theaters. Blade Runner 2049 had a month between itself and New Line's It. Okay, so it's saying that, however, the go-to the movies once a month or so, grown-ups have already opted for the buzzy R-rated fright flick, which grossed around $327 million domestic. What are they talking about?
The problem with first off, that okay. The only connection between Blade Runner and this movie is it's the same director. I mean,
same studio too.
Yeah, but the problem is the marketing was completely different. The audience was completely different. I mean, the marketing is the worst. I mean, that movie was scuttled by its own marketing.
Well, yeah, it was. It wasn't just Warner Brothers. It was Warner Brothers and Sony co-production. That's how much that movie cost.
Yeah,
it was both studios. You saw the Columbia Woman and the Warner Brothers logo on it. It was.
I don't think that helped it at all, because it's like neither side was doing what they needed to do to hype it. That should have been all over the place, and everyone should have been excited about it.
Another thing that I think hurt it, opening weekend, it happens right after the whole Weinstein debacle got released, and I think people were not feeling Hollywood that weekend. Okay, you know what I'm saying? I don't think
I honestly had not considered that. That's not.
I was not wanting to see it, and I was a Blade Runner fan, but I'm
that's
like,
I
don't know about this sequel. Should they even be making a sequel to Blade Runner? And then it's.
But I'll tell you,
had all this crap about the casting couch.
That is another one of those things, though, that was very much. The fans really did love it. It really did get some great DVD sale or Blu-ray sales, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I think that one was very much undermined by the powers that be. I don't see that happening with Dune. Dune is really getting the push.
They know they want Dune to be successful. Okay.
To the point where Denis Villeneuve is really doing everything he can to run interference for the stupid shit that what's her name has been saying,
Yeah,
there is this push to try and do the whole stupid bass ackward, self-defeating marketing of the SJW that clearly hasn't helped James Bond, and now we have the powers that be, literally doing the opposite with Dune, saying shut up, ignore that, back. Spinning it, read the books. You got to understand.
Okay.
Exactly.
I want to say something else. I think studios, I could be wrong, but even though they're not sort of nonplussed when it comes to science fiction, I think most studios want their own Star Wars. Okay.
Yeah.
I think this has been going on for a long time. Universal Studios. Remember Chronicles of Riddick? That was their first attempt.
Yeah,
and trying to build like the pitch black, Riddick character into like a Star Wars-esque epic series. It didn't do the box office they wanted. The Universal tried again with Serenity, which was based off of Firefly. I believe
Serenity could have been great, except the network ruined that one.
Well, that was Fox, but this was them figuring. Universal figures, because I don't think Universal was involved with the series. I think they came involved later.
But what I'm saying is that
has a built-in fan base. It's science fiction. Maybe we could build this into a movie.
Yeah,
series.
but that's just not paying attention to the fact that it was already dead in the water because of what happened to it on the network. So all we ended up getting was a film that capped it off, made the fans happy, but there was nothing in it to pull in a new audience, and so. It was just a capstone, and it was done.
And then they were going to do the Lensman movies, and then they chickened out because Scott Pilgrim tanked at the box office, and all their projects got scrapped, the big budget ones.
Yeah, that wasn't that good, really.
What?
Scott Pilgrim. It was
I
okay.
like that movie.
It was okay. But it wasn't like, oh, I got to get a sequel to this.
Well, that was I don't think a sequel would have worked to that, but I think the marketing on Scott Pilgrim was terrible. I didn't see it in the theater. I was like, this looks dumb, and I thought the marketing was not telling me what it was. I thought it was one of the best comedies of the last decade. But anyway,
look,
it was also a very expensive movie to make.
We keep bringing up marketing. Marketing is key. You've got to understand that what happens in the marketing determines whether or not the movie's going to be good. I mean, do well. It could be the best movie ever. If it's not marketed right, it's gonna flop, and you could do a shitty movie, but if you market it well enough, you'll dupe enough people into going to see it.
Yeah. Scott Pilgrim was fun. What I like about Scott Pilgrim is kind of a jerk, but he doesn't think he's a jerk, and other people don't necessarily treat him like one. I think he gets better by the end of the week. We get a change character by the end of the movie. He gets better. But it's... I don't know. The movies seem like a love letter to my childhood, but we'll talk about that another time. I know it has Brie in it, so I know that loses a mark against it.
Well, those things,
Of course,
that's
you
why
normal back then. So
well, yeah, but at the same time, what ages, right? I mean, there's no one's really clamoring to see Roman Polanski films today. You never know how things are going to turn out.
Roman Polanski. Okay, next news, gaming side of things, but that's okay. I know you're not so hip with the games, Troy.
No, I'm interested to learn.
I don't
though.
do these that often.
Go ahead and tell me.
I felt I should talk about this one because maybe you get to hear.
If I'm understanding correctly, it sounds like these first two are directly related here.
They are. I reversed the order of them. I meant to tell you that before the chat because I think one is
okay.
Because I'm in the know. Okay, so
yes, you are.
Order of these. Okay, so of course, want a new Castlevania game? You need to make yourself heard, says Konami director.
Give me wall chicken.
It's a pork chop. It's not wall chicken.
It's wall chicken.
It's not my fault that some.
It's wall chicken.
It's a bunch of newbies who played Castlevania without ever owning the original cartridges and looking in the instruction manual to see it says pork chop. But what do I know? I just bought the games back in the day. Anyway,
hey, I'm going by playing the game, and it looked like wall chicken to me.
It is a pork chop.
It looked like a chicken.
Pork chicken. It's all white meat, right? Come on.
I suppose it's protein, and it's what you need to survive, right?
Actually, let me read the article, okay? Konami's Castlevania series currently has a level of public awareness that is perhaps unprecedented in the franchise's 35-year history. Netflix's popular animated series has given Castlevania a legion of new fans, with re-releases such as Castlevania Advance Collection and Castlevania Anniversary Collection have introduced players to some of the greatest entries in the series. Yes, you can now buy digital collections of these old games for like $10 or $20, but if you wait for it to go on sale, you get it for like $5, and you get all the old Castlevania games to play on your latest gaming console or PC. It's kind of neat. I'll say this, and they have very good emulation because M2 did the emulation, so you can play the old games if you want to. And I even would recommend you pick up these collections if you're interested. Anyone who wants to try the old games. However, despite all of this, we haven't had a proper mainline Castlevania entry since 2014's much maligned Lords of Shadow 2. Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2. We do have, of course, had a new smartphone spin-off in the form of the recently released Castlevania Grimoire of Souls, which I've never played because I don't play crap on smartphones. The game's director, Yola Titsu Miyazaki, has been speaking to Axios about the future of the series and the chances of a truly new entry in the beloved franchise. His reply, well, it's not terribly surprising, to be honest. I think it depends on what our users say. A good quote there. I like it.
Well, okay. That's actually nice to hear. It's a little refreshing, right?
Yeah. I'm going to keep going. It's the age-old problem of a massive company wanting to be sure there's demand for a project before committing any resources to it. We can understand why Konami is cagey at present. Lords of Shadow 2 was a critical disappointment, And more recently, the firm's effort to revive another of its key franchises, Contra, resulted in the distinctly underwhelming Contra Rogue Corps. Yeah, maybe because those two games weren't very good. Even the mighty Metal Gear series is struggling with Metal Gear Survive, the first title in the series being made without the input of creator Hideo Kojima, proving to be something of a disaster because you took Metal Gear, which is like an espionage style game, and you said, I can't even get into the details. That has a whole other fan base, but they decided to be unique. We'll just throw zombies into it. That's what I'd heard. I'm not, no.
Oh
Okay.
my God.
It's like throwing zombies into it. I'm trying to contextualize it for you. It'd be like
No,
throwing zombies into like a James Bond or a Mission
yeah, you don't.
Impossible.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you don't
Okay,
have to
like
explain
that.
because you know
It's okay.
I kind of get what even without having played the game, all you have to do is say, yeah, this is basically an espionage game,
Yeah.
and then the sequel has zombies. It's like no.
Without the input of the original creator, because I'll get into that a little later. But the guy goes on to explain that creating a new installment is such a venerated franchise isn't easy. I'm not in a position to comment on the company's business, but in general, it is very challenging to release the main titles of long-term series on a regular basis. He added that Castlevania has taken on many challenges since the release of 2010's multiplayer spin-off Harmony of Despair, and refers to Grimoire of Souls as an effort to make sure the series can keep up with rapidly changing times. He also pointed that Mr. Igarashi's retirement from Konami is not related to the prolonged interval between series releases. He was referring, of course, to former series producer Koji Igarashi, a lot of people call him Iga, who left Konami in 2014 and has since worked on the Bloodstained series, which is seen by many as the spiritual successor to the Castlevania franchise. Okay, chat, what do y'all think, huh?
I mean, it sounds like we
monsters.
actually have an entertainment company that actually cares about its fans and are trying to form a relationship with the fans.
Okay. Let me see. Anybody else saying anything? Wait, there was a new Contra game. Yeah, you missed it. Okay. We haven't had a proper Silent Hill since. Yeah, Silent Hill's another one since Silent Hill for the Room. Despite the fact that they were getting the guy between, I think Kojima, who did the Metal Gear, he was going to do a new Silent Hill. They even got Guillermo del Toro to sign on to help with the artistic direction. You know the director, famous director.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to help with the game. And so was the one of the actors from The Walking Dead. The guy who plays Daryl. He was going to be in the game too. And Konami kind of scrapped that project, just like Konami didn't allow that creator to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Game Awards because they were just being kind of assholes, if I'm going to use a bad word. And let's see with Iga, the guy who was basically not the father of the Castlevania series, but the guy that basically took it over and condensed a lot of the canon and made the series really good, created Symphony of the Night, and a lot of the very popular Castlevania games came later. And they basically forced him into mobile game development and then he basically retired for the company and had to get funding on his own through Kickstarter to make a game series that's like Castlevania, but it's not, of course, Castlevania, but it's in the same vein. It's called Bloodstained. I highly recommend it, okay? And Konami basically hasn't been making video games for a while because, there's more money to be made in Castlevania-themed slot machines and pachinko machines and gambling outlets and places like that. And we don't need to make games anymore. We can just rely on gambling, okay? I'll put it to you this way. Konami is awful, okay? They went from being, back in the old days, like during the old days, the NES, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, they were considered one of the best game companies around. You knew if you bought a Konami game, you were getting something good, to basically getting rid of all of their talent, going mainly into mobile and also, gambling machines, slot machines, okay? And now they're asking us, is there demand for a Castlevania game? Now, maybe I'm being harsh, but I don't trust them. But what do you think, Troy?
Oh.
You didn't know the history.
No, I didn't know the history.
I could be a lot nastier with them. And let me see. Konami has, disappointed fans before it was cool. Looking at you, CD Projekt Red, Crystal Dynamics, BioWare. You have to understand, it's sort of like the scene in Revenge of the Sith when Obi-Wan's like, you were the chosen one! Like we all loved Konami. Konami I used to consider better than Nintendo at making games back in the day, okay? They were number one. And then they They got a lot of different management over there, and it looked actually like a lot of American business execs somehow ended up over there too, because it's not all Japanese guys either. And they just gave up on game development. Now, is it possible that they could win back the goodwill of us fans and make good games again? Anything's possible, but I don't think that's going to happen. But what do I know? Bloodstained is really fun. Yeah, but here's the thing: you have the creators. They end up having to leave the company. The Hideo Kojima, he ended up getting hired by Sony. He's making games for them now, not Metal Gear games because he can't make those, but he has his own series going over there. Okay,
Yeah.
so they basically lost a lot of their talent, and now they're trying to bring back Castlevania now that it's become popular because of the Netflix series. I don't know. I mean, I'll say this for Konami: those collections they released were good, the older games, but I'm not too enthused about this. They've really gone downhill. It's and Lords of Shadow too. In the Lords of Shadow games, I think you start out playing a Belmont character going after vampires, and then he becomes Dracula himself, which makes no sense to me because it was like a reboot of the series. And then I think in the sequel, he's in modern times fighting tanks and demons, and it makes no sense to me. Okay, but what do I know? Anyway, I don't know.
Is
But
it good gameplay?
it was panned. In fairness, Kojima probably needs someone to sit on him and keep him on task. He's a good designer, but he gets tunnel vision, something fierce. Yeah, he's a bit of an odd duck from what I've heard. The only good thing Konami did was give the go-ahead for the Netflix series. Pachinko machines are the new Metal Gears. Yeah, oh, funny. Okay. But anyway, we've got another article here. I don't want to linger too much on this. Rumor, Konami is reportedly reviving Castlevania, Metal Gear, and Silent Hill. Let's explain here, too. That whole thing, we want to see if there's demand. They're already planning to do this stuff, okay? Do you know why I think they're planning to do this stuff? Do you
Why?
think the casinos are full over in Japan with all the lockdowns?
No, I would imagine not.
Okay, they need to make money, okay? They own
Well,
all these
but
properties.
isn't this what I've said about so many other things too? You know, they end up getting their heads out of their asses when they want to start making money.
And maybe they'll hire good talent.
Yeah.
It won't be the talent I liked. I liked Iga, okay? I thought he was a good Castlevania producer. I respected his vision for the series. It's kind of like how things like Star Trek, you get different people making it, like Roddenberry starts and then Nicholas Meyer kind of takes it over, and then you have Berman. And, but with this guy, the producer basically that took over Castlevania, I liked what he was doing, okay? And they kind of embarrassed him and shoved him over to mobile, and then he just left. And then actually, it was a big success campaign in independent gaming. He actually made a lot of money off of Bloodstained. It's you can buy it officially now through another company, but it was a big Kickstarter. I think it was a Kickstarter success or some site like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but the point is, you can buy Bloodstained now, and you can also buy the old game. So, do I need a new Castlevania game from Konami when I could buy this spiritual successor game? I don't know. Rumor Konami. Okay, so I'll read a little bit from this article. Few years now, Konami has been pretty quiet on the premium games front, preferring to focus on their presumably lucrative pachinko content instead. Back in 2015, it all blew up spectacularly with the cancellation of Silent Hills, the removal of the spooky and beloved teaser PT for the PlayStation Store. They released a demo game on the PlayStation Store, and it was called PT, and everybody loved it. Okay, it was like this new take on survival horror, very creepy. And they removed it from the store. And even if you had already downloaded it, you couldn't even re-download it again. Because usually when they remove stuff from stores, there's like a silent agreement that even if you could still download the demo, you could download the demo or the game you purchased again. You couldn't do that with this game. And they had a bad departure with Hideo Kojima. Anyway, now we're finally finding out what that meant. According to the anonymous sources who spoke to Video VGC, the company responsible for Castlevania, Metal Gear Solid, and Silent Hill games will reportedly be reviving them all. The first new release will be a Castlevania game, says VGC sources, who describe it as a quote-unquote reimagining of the series that's being developed internally at Konami. Do you like that term, reimagining?
I never like that, no. Very, very rarely is that a good thing. It happens occasionally, but usually not.
Meanwhile, a remake of an early Metal Gear Solid game is apparently in the works at Singapore-based external studio Virtuos, who worked on the Switch ports of Dark Souls Remastered, The Outer Worlds, and L.A. Noire. I'm not excited about any of this stuff. Sources all state multiple Silent Hill games are in production. Let me explain something to you. They released a Silent Hill HD. You know, like they have the old games and they do HD remasters of them. They did that with Silent Hill, and apparently they lost the code for the old games. And when it came out, it was a mess when they released it on newer consoles.
Mm-hmm.
And they just released it to market that way. They've been angering people for years. I'm just going to point that out. Okay. So anyway, what do we think, huh?
I mean, it sounded positive to me until you told me the backstory, and now I'm like, ugh. Yeah, this sounds a little too much like some other situations we've talked about.
Went from being like, might even argue the most respected gaming company to just like a sleazing gambling company. And like I made a comment about EA doing the loot boxes encouraging gambling. Konami doesn't even do that. They do the actual gambling. Okay, and it's like, I can't play a new Castlevania game, but I could go see a slot machine with Simon Belmont fighting monsters while I try and win some money at this casino. And it's like, and frankly, I wouldn't even have a problem with that, but they're doing that in lieu of making a new Castlevania game. I don't understand it. I don't know. Okay, that's it. Okay. Not that interesting, but I don't know. I thought I would be angrier when I read this, but in video games, reimagining means loot boxes and other scanner box content. Okay.
Well, yeah, okay. I mean, that in and of itself, I know everybody hates them, but my experience with them has been pretty benign. You can take them or leave them, and who gives a crap?
Okay, I am going to say this, though, for Konami, as much as I piled on the hate. Those Castlevania collections they released in the Contra collection, they're actually very good. So if you own a modern console and you want to play like the old Castlevania games, they're worth picking up. And if you wait, they even go on sale sometimes for like $5, so you don't have to pay Konami more money than you have to. Okay, anyway, but moving on. All right. This is interesting. You know Donkey Kong, right?
Of course.
Okay. Well, there is a Donkey Kong. Nintendo confirms Donkey Kong area for Super Nintendo World. I was very excited on this until I realized that we're not getting our Super Nintendo World till 2025 because pandemic probably. But Nintendo has confirmed plans to expand Super Nintendo World, its recently opened theme park in Universal Studios Japan in Osaka, with a new Donkey Kong area. The news doesn't exactly come as a surprise. Construction already appears to have been underway for some time. Imagery released by Nintendo confirms that as speculated, the Donkey Kong Zone will indeed be accessed through a large round door that already exists in the park, so they planned this, which is currently almost entirely Mario themed. The zone will be a significant addition that increases Super Nintendo World's overall size by 70%, according to Nintendo. The Donkey Kong Zone will include a roller coaster interactive experience and themed merchandise and food. Nintendo says in a statement, this means banana-themed restaurants, Do you like bananas?
Sure.
Okay, because that's like a big thing in the Donkey Kong games. Okay. In fact, the first Donkey Kong Country game, you know what the plot is, right? It's not
somebody stole his bananas.
Yeah, it's not the princess or his girlfriend that gets kidnapped. It's somebody stole his bananas. Yeah. Okay, that's the okay. Guess we'll be able to take a walk on the wild side through the lush gardens where Donkey Kong and his friends live. Nintendo goes on to describe the area as a game changer that combines innovative technology and globally popular approach to theme park entertainment of Universal with the creativity of Nintendo. I'm very happy to be able to make the world of Donkey Kong a reality following with the world of Mario, says Nintendo's Shigeru Miyamoto, who created the Donkey Kong and Mario characters. Oh, they spelt his name wrong. It's Shigeru Miyamoto, not...
Oh.
I don't know. Someone wasn't paying attention. Okay. I am looking forward to creating a thrilling Donkey Kong experience with the amazing team at Universal. It will take some time as it is completed, but it will be a unique area for not only people who are familiar with Donkey Kong games, but for all guests. They might have stuff based on the old school arcade game. You never know, with the barrels and whatnot.
Right.
Okay, but
that would actually be pretty cool.
But I have to tell you, it's not going to open until 2024 in Japan, and I have to tell you, Nintendo-themed areas are also planned for the works for Orlando, Hollywood, and Singapore Universal Studios parks. I've heard, though, this next Universal park where this is supposed to open up is not coming until 2025. That's 4 years.
Well, but these things, take time, right? I mean, you can't
They have it in Japan already.
Well, okay. I don't think they have replicators like in Star Trek.
It's not fair. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. Let's see here, though. New Ghostbusters video game is reportedly being developed. I didn't know about this. Okay. Let me see. All right, folks, we've got some huge news to report today. As it appears that for a brand new Ghostbusters video game is currently in development from video game studio Illyphonic. Okay, what do you think?
I mean, it sounds exciting. I mean, I know you've been pretty excited about this whole Nintendo World thing to begin with, but
the last Ghostbusters game was pretty good. The one with the original cast in it.
Yeah.
You know, they couldn't get Sigourney Weaver for it, though. They got, because I guess she was busy. She said later on she regretted not coming back for the game, but they got Alyssa Milano instead at the time to be, I guess, like the Venkman love interest. But you're did you say something?
Yeah, I have nothing to say about her.
Okay, anyway,
nothing
at the time,
at all.
we didn't know which, anyway. All right, folks, we've got...
Used to like her when she was in a vampire movie back in the 90s, but that's a whole different thing.
All right, folks, we've got some huge news to report today as it appears from a brand new Ghostbusters video game is currently in development. Okay. During a recent episode of Questlove Supreme podcast, the co-founder of Ilphonic, Raphael Sadiq, led the news slip, saying the studio is currently working on Ghostbusters. Ilphonic likely known for the team behind the crowdfunded multiplayer-centric video game adaptation of Friday the 13th. Oh, they made the Friday the 13th game. That's an interesting game. It's mainly multiplayer online. But you know what you can do in it? You can either play as Jason or play as one of the counselors, and if you're Jason, you go hunt the counselors. Do you understand?
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of interesting.
I've heard good things about that game, even though I've never played it myself.
It's funny when you play as Jason. I think you hear his mother yelling at him in his head, "Kill them, Jason!" You know, it's like Mrs. Voorhees. They actually got a lot of the characters in the movies, like Shelley's in there. You know, Shelley from Friday the 13th Part 3.
Sure.
Like he's in it, so it was actually kind of neat. So actually, the fact this team's behind it gives me hope for it. Actually, I'm not really into the multiplayer only games, but from what I've heard, it's a good one. So we'll see what they do with this. With the news just leaking out and no official confirmation of any party involved, there's not too much known about the potential project. The Ilphonic is indeed behind the brand new Ghostbusters game. Given the studio's history, it's safe to assume that we'll likely be able to bust alongside our online friends. So it may be an online only game. I don't know. The last Ghostbusters game fans saw release was 2019's remaster of Ghostbusters, the video game. And before that, the 2016 reboot saw a video game adaptation. No! Okay. We don't want to talk about the 2016 game, okay? But what do you hope to see from a new Ghostbusters game?
Well, I actually don't...
It's based on the new movie, right?
There's a lot of speculation about that. I did see a couple videos speculating about this game, and the best one I saw was from Jesse at the Crow's Nest. He actually gave a little bit of background on this company that, I don't know anything about these video game companies.
Neither do I.
But he said that this particular one was really good, and he mentioned the Jason game and a couple other games that he really, really liked. And I was like, okay, sounds pretty good. And his speculation was that, it would make sense that it would be based on, the afterlife, whatever is in Afterlife. And then later on, DLC could have to do with, the previous incarnations and stuff like that.
Look at this. The Horizon Star says the Friday the 13th game is a great example of a company listening to fans. It started off as a homage project, but fans asked the studio to legitimize it, and they listened. Good job, guys. Okay, so it has a big following. So the fact that this team's behind it, that's probably a good thing. Okay.
Yeah, that's the kind of sentiment that I kind of got. So who knows? We'll see.
Oh, this was going back to Alyssa Milano. You would say a bit about her if you had Kraken, but work. Okay.
Well, no, I would say a lot more if it was my own stream. I don't want to hijack. Geeky Geezers to go off on a rant, but
Warner Media CEO Jason Kill. Okay, yes, okay, but anyway, Ghostbusters game might be good.
I hope so.
Behind it, so
this is another example. It's like every single week we have at least something new coming out that, from a marketing standpoint, is just getting people hyped for Ghostbuster Afterlife, and nothing has been negative. Now, I have seen some products being released that are like, really? But it's something, there's nothing negative about it. It's just like,
If
okay.
the movie's a big hit, you'll be seeing a lot more products. Okay.
It may be, but yeah, I think they're doing a great job, and I'm looking forward to November for that.
Warner Media CEO Jason Kilar is disappointed he will probably lose his job.
Yeah, well,
This is
we're all disappointed in you, Kilar.
this is
So,
like 1 year later. We were talking about him like a year ago.
yep,
Remember when he was always saying, "Oh, I feel your pain with the job losses." It really hurts me more than it does you that you lost. Remember all that stuff when all the
yep.
layoffs were happening. Oh, okay. Jason Kilar, currently CEO of Warner Media, admitted that he feels disappointed that he will likely be out of a job within a year. AT&T is in the midst of spinning off Warner Media to combine it with Discovery, a deal expected to close in mid-2022, pending regulatory approval. Keller told staffers he expects to stay at Warner Media at least through early 2022. Keller, speaking with Vox's Media Code Conference, said that the Warner Media CEO goes away once the Discovery transaction closes. Asked if he was disappointed that he won't have the chance to continue leading the media conglomerate, Keller responded, "I am human." So in that context, yes. He declined to discuss what his next venture might be. Kilar, the one-time CEO of Hulu, said the last year and a half he spent leading Warner Media has been the most professionally fulfilling stretch of his career. I would far prefer this adventure to go on for 10 or 20 more years, he acknowledged. But that's no way corporate America works. Until the transaction closes, Kilar said he'll continue to work to set up Warner Media for the next 100 years.
Well, I'll tell you something. Again, play the little violin for him, but I'll tell you exactly how business works. Read the frickin' room and back the right horse. Otherwise, you know what? You only have yourself to blame. You could bitch all you want about corporate America, but the rules are pretty simple.
You deliver or you get out, basically.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
listen to this quote. We endeavor to do the right thing in terms of communication, Kilar said. But he said, in hindsight, we should have taken the better part of a month to have the 170 conversations with the talent represented on the Warner Brothers 2021 film slate. That said, even with the compressed timeline, Warner Brothers held all those discussions in less than a week to move quickly and minimize the chance of leaks. Kilar noted that the day-and-date movie strategy primed HBO Max for subscriber growth into the service's new year. We said from the start that we were going to treat every single film as though it was a blockbuster from an economic perspective for participants, that we were going to be fair and generous, and that we were going to do the right thing, Kilar said. Didn't they lose Nolan recently?
Yep.
This whole thing? I don't know. What do you think of Kilar?
I think it's best that he move on to other things.
I don't know. I mean, do we like the day? I'll admit it was kind of neat being able to watch Cry Macho last night
Yeah, that's true.
at home. I mean, it's not the same as seeing it on the
But
screen.
but as a business, I mean, it's convenient for films that you probably wouldn't go to the theater to see anyway, and you're waiting to come out on stream. But the long and the short of it is, as a business model, it does nothing good for these studios. Right? You want multiple income streams. You want to make your money off the theaters, then make your money off the stream, then make your money off of the, physical media.
Yep, and I watched the Many Saints of Newark today.
Yep. And something tells me that film's not going to do very well because A, day and date release, and B, some of the things I've heard about it.
It's an odd movie. That's what I'm going to say. There was an interesting revelation concerning what happened to Christopher's dad, which I won't spoil it for you if you decide to watch the movie.
Did you get the same feeling as what I had told you I had heard about the pacing and everything?
Okay. The pacing, here's what it was. It's an odd movie because it starts out, Tony Soprano's a kid, and then we move into him being a teenager about halfway through. And it's really about Christopher Moltisante's dad, but then it's narrated by Christopher Moltisanti, and that's kind of giving away a big spoiler if you haven't seen The Sopranos. I think I would have rather they just kept the narration out of it. And I think probably the best narration they could have had would have been James Gandolfini doing the narration about his younger years. But the problem was you can't do that since James Gandolfini's no longer with us. You understand? But I think maybe just not have done the narration. I'm still letting it sink in. Okay, I don't regret watching it if that's what you're thinking. Okay, I don't think it ruins.
No. I didn't. I have not heard anything negative about it. Just not as good as some people had hoped.
I think people were expecting a big theatrical movie when maybe they should have looked at it as like a very, very well done HBO special.
Well, and that's what one person that I heard from, that they described it as, it felt like it was a pilot episode for a series that didn't end up getting picked up, and so they said, let's release it at the theaters and try and make some money off of it.
Hard to say. I mean, hard to say. I don't know. I am going to say this. It seemed. Also, I'm going to say this. It required, I think, prior knowledge of The Sopranos to kind of get a lot of the stuff going on in it, which I feel, as a prequel, I think it should have been its own thing. You could just watch it without that knowledge. You understand? Like, there are little nods here and there, and maybe that's good, but maybe not so good. Do you understand? But it's funny seeing the younger actor playing Paulie Walnuts, though.
I am a little bit at a disadvantage not having seen it, but one thing that I can say is it sounds, just from the title, it sounds like they are shifting the focus from Tony Soprano, even though this is a prequel that kind of gives an origin story of sorts for him.
Yeah,
moves it from the Sopranos to the Moltisantis.
Yes, and I don't have a problem with that.
No, and so you have to keep in mind that it's a different story being told for a different family.
But it plays loose with that based on some of the narration we hear. You'll find out when you eventually watch
it.
I'm not. I think it's worth watching if you're a Sopranos fan. I don't know if some Sopranos fans are happy or unhappy with it. I don't think it does anything to ruin the show, if that's what we're worried about. Okay, but I can't say any more without spoiling it. So you'll have to just check it out yourself or not. You know, it's kind of like. Well, of course, I liked Ash vs. the Evil Dead better, but I like Ash vs. the Evil Dead, but I think you can either take or leave that as the sequel to Army of Darkness or not. You know, it's a very well done show, but I almost see it as apocryphal. Like, this could be what happened to Ash after those original movies or not.
Yeah.
And I think maybe in some ways it was intended that way.
Although I honestly have had the belief that maybe some of those sequels are really just Ash just went insane. And, you know, he's in his own mind now.
Okay. Oh, Auditor, the developer for the video game. It's the people that made the Friday the 13th multiplayer game. It's in the article. You check up in the chat. You'll see it in the posting. You can check it. I don't quite know how to say them. But Warner Media EX CEO concedes rushed rollout of HBO day and date plan. Yes, I know. We already read this. I'll read a little bit from this, though. Warner Communications Jason Killer said he rushed the communication of his decision to place Warner Brothers' 2021 film slate on HBO Max and should have taken the better part of a month. Yeah, I mean, I will be the first to say, and the responsibility rests on my shoulder, that in hindsight, we should have taken the better part of a month to have 170 conversations, which is the number of participants that are in our 2021 film slate, Killer said on Tuesday at Vox's Media's Code Conference. What is all this about? Is he, like, sort of apologizing, or is this, like... Is this to try to smooth things over with what remaining talent they have? What's going on here? It almost sounds like an apology.
Yeah, I have no idea. This does really smack of things aren't good. We're trying to fix them.
Okay. I don't know. Again, like all these companies, I mix things. Like, I'll say this, from what I've seen, the film selection on HBO Max is very nice if you're a fan of the Warner Brothers movie catalog, which does have one of the best movie catalogs. It even has Dracula AD 1972 on there with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing.
Oh.
Have you ever seen that? I'll talk about that on a Culture Fortress later in the month. But yeah,
cool.
At 6. Okay, from Killar's perspective, though, Warner's reaction to the fallout was successful, even as Warner Brothers is committed to a 45-day exclusive theatrical release window for 2022. So they're scrapping it. Okay. But I don't know. I mean, we've had this argument. Stephanie Janicek made a point with Black Widow that people were afraid to go to theaters. So maybe this did help HBO Max boost subscribers. Everyone's laying a lot on streaming. If you lose the streaming war, are you in trouble as a studio? Is that what's going on here?
Honestly, I don't think so. Because I think there is a false impression of what streaming is. There seems to be this idea that, okay, well, the theater thing is over, now we're moving to streaming, and I don't think the audience feels that way. They're like, no, we cannot. If I want to see all these different movies, I go to my local theater, I spend $20, I see my movie, and then I go home. Okay? And then I wait for it to come out on DVD, and if I liked it enough, I buy it. Whereas now, in order to see these movies, I have to spend, 30, 40, 50, $100 a month for all these different services to maybe see one or two movies on each one that I want to see. And the average person can't do that, especially in the depressed market that we're in, where people are out of work, don't have money coming in. They cannot afford that. Mm-hmm. So no, this is not the future. It is a future revenue stream, but it is not the future. And the sooner these studios figure that shit out, the better off they'll be.
Horizon Talker says, I think everyone thinks they're going to be 2014 Netflix, but no one is 2014 Netflix, not even 2021 Netflix. The market has changed too much. Yeah, even Netflix is
well, that's just it, right? Back then, Netflix was the only game in town, and they basically took the place of Blockbuster Video and your local, rental place, right? Where you could, sign up, get a DVD sent to you, watch it, send it back, right?
Well, yeah, but even on the streaming portion, they would get movies from everywhere. You'd have
because
Disney
they were the
on
only
there.
game in town.
You'd have Disney movies on there, Warner Brothers movies on there. I think at one point you could probably watch like Disney's Tarzan
and this is what I had
Superman
said
79 on the same channel.
When we started covering these streaming wars, I said there's going if everyone plays their cards to the best of their ability, plays the best strategy they can, there can only be 2 or 3 winners. And that would have been Netflix, Disney Plus, and I don't know. I don't know who would have fallen into the third place. Maybe HBO Max, maybe someone else. But the people who had the catalogs to be the big games in town, right? And I had said, if Disney throws everything they got onto their streaming service, they're going to have all their Disney backlog, all their Marvel content, all the Star Wars content, all of then 20th Century Fox's catalog, everything. But they don't do that. They pitter and patter and edit and tamp down, and this is problematic. And okay, well, fine. You should be the front runner, and now you're barely holding on.
Well, look at Paramount with we'll put certain movies on here, and then they'll take other ones off, and the whole thing.
And people are sick of that. They're like, no, I am not prepared to pay a premium price for, little pittance.
If you want to hear me go on a rant, I was on on Daniel Heron's channel, Soundtracks of Birdman, when we rewatched Star Trek First Contact. I think Chris P was on with us, and I just started. I'd already ranted before we went live, and then I said I won't rant on the air, and I started ranting again because they took First Contact off of Paramount Plus, and it was on there like 2 weeks prior. I know it was there, and then I read an article. They now moved to AMC Plus, and I'm like, well, they just made a big deal about us being the home of Star Trek, and you've taken all the movies off there now, okay? And it's like, you're not the home of Star Trek. You lied, okay? It's
exactly. That's exactly it. And I mean, and let's not even really get into, you and I have talked about this, how confusing the licensing is. It belongs to this studio, but this other studio has the license to it. And,
yeah, like
you never know where to find shit anymore.
Like some of the movies you see on the Warner Brothers aren't Warner Brothers movies. It's like, did they get the license back? And then, like, I think the Harry Potters, even though Warner Brothers put those out, they're on the Universal streaming service, okay?
Yeah.
But maybe Fantastic Beasts is on the Warner Brothers. I didn't think about that. It's all a mess. Yeah, it's okay. New television series or
another reboot. Yep.
Babylon 5 is coming back. You a Babylon 5 fan?
I am. I have the entire run of it on DVD.
Yeah, I remember that back in the day. I also liked, unfortunately, the short-lived spin-off series they did after called Crusade. Do you remember that
Crusade.
one?
I do. I have that on DVD as well.
Uh,
Wasn't as
I
good, but it was intriguing.
here's the I really like the lead actor on that show, Gary Cole.
Oh yeah,
He's a good actor. I've liked him in other things, and
met him
I
in
was
person. He's a great guy. Bit of a drinker. Kind of got along with him real well on that regard.
gotcha. Oh no, he was amazing on American Gothic. He basically it's like Andy Griffith if the devil was the sheriff. I'm not kidding you. That's basically the
That's
plot line of
funny.
that show. And he's like, he would say things like, "Never let your conscience be your guide," and conscience is just the fear of getting caught. And and it had Lucas Black on there, young Lucas Black, the kid who always played every Southern boy in every movie, like during the '90s. He was on the show, and it was a good show. But it only lasted one season. But then he was on Crusade. Crusade was interesting because it they had one of the tech mages on it, right? Like a tech mage was a regular character on that show.
Right.
Remember that? I think his name was Galen, right? And
You're taxing my memory here, but
but basically he had a box, right? The Gary Cole commander. He had a box he won in a bet, right?
Mhm.
And the guy gives the box over, and I think the guy dies soon after giving this box over. You can speak to the box and ask it a question. The box will either tell you the truth or a lie, right? And the
Mhm.
lie will put you into danger. And he's not supposed. You shouldn't use this box, but he's desperate because basically the planet Earth was infected by this horrible virus, by this enemy alien species, and basically they have to find this cure to this disease, or the human race is going to go extinct. Okay, except for him and a few other humans that were outside of the orbit when this happened. So he's piloting the ship to find the cure, and I don't know. It's an interesting show. I liked it. I wasn't expecting much from it, but it was better than I had expected. I remember Babylon 5, though, the original run.
yeah.
Apparently, this has all been scrapped now because we're getting a reboot. Okay. The CW is heading to space. The CW, the younger skewing broadcaster, is teaming up with original series creator J. Michael Straczynski for a reboot of Babylon 5. So Straczynski is involved, apparently. Described
Yes.
as a from-the-ground-up reboot of the original, the script for a new potential version of the former syndicated drama from Warner Brothers TV will be penned by Straczynski. The new take revolves around John Sheridan, originally played by Bruce Boxlight, an Earth Force officer with a mysterious background, who was assigned to Babylon 5, a 5-mile-long space station, neutral space, a port of call for travelers, smugglers, corporate explorers, and alien diplomats at a time of uneasy peace and constant threat of war. His arrival triggers a destiny beyond anything he could have imagined, as an exploratory Earth company accidentally triggers a conflict with a civilization a million years ahead of us, putting Sheridan and the rest of the Babylon 5 crew in the line of fire as the last best hope for the survival of the human race. That sounds kind of different from the original plot line of the show.
Yeah. So I'm not 100% certain, but I get the distinct impression that Straczynski wants to go back and redo Babylon 5 the way he wanted to do it originally.
Or the way he sees it should have been done in hindsight, maybe?
In fairness, yeah, he was dealing with a studio and other extraneous situations that kind of prevented him from doing things the way he wanted to. He had a plan for 5 seasons, and he knew exactly how that story arc was going to go. He had it all planned out. Unfortunately, the studio told him, we're not going to do. I think it was season 4. We're just, you got to end it at season 4.
He had to cram a lot of story into season 4.
So he crams a lot of story into season 3, only to find out, okay, yeah, we're going to go ahead with season 4. And he's like,
season
damn
5.
It. Oh, that's
season
what it was.
5. No, here's what happened with season 5. Actually, wait a minute. Maybe that did happen. Maybe what you're saying did happen. It got a season 5 through TNT. TNT ended up picking up Babylon 5 after it had already been canceled.
Right.
And then he was able to make a new season for Babylon 5.
And that was another problem because, again, remember, this was early in the cable days. Not everyone had access to it. So the fans got to see seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4 and may not have ever seen season 5 until it came out on DVD. you know? So that's another wrinkle in the whole thing. But let's go back even further. First season, the captain of the station was not John Sheridan. It was Jeffrey Sinclair. Okay? And he was played by Michael O'Hara. And Michael O'Hara was really good. But he had some personal issues that prevented him from continuing on with the show. So they literally had to... It would be like if Mark Hamill played Luke Skywalker in the first movie, and then they had to replace him in, Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi with a completely different character. Because, Mark Hamill wasn't available. That's basically what happened with this. Jeffrey Sinclair comes out after, what was it? I guess it was just season 1. And then they had to completely change what they were doing when they had all this plan and build up on him and backstory. And, like I said, he had it all planned out. So it was, there was a lot of elements that really didn't go the way he wanted to. And yet,
He for one episode, and they explained that he ended up having to go back in time. And
and that was all just scrambling to try and get the story they wanted to get. It ended up being overall really, really good. Straczynski still managed to make lemonade out of lemons, and probably the best lemonade you could have. But I'm getting the impression it wasn't the story he wanted to tell. So he thinks he can do it again. And he's going to the CW to do it. That's the thing that concerns me.
I don't know. I'm going to say a big I don't know with this one.
Now, a lot of people have been saying there's a lot of changes over at the CW.
It would be nice if this could be the start of maybe the CW going back to the way it was.
Maybe. But I'll be honest with you. I have not been real happy about the CW since it was the WB.
Yeah, that's
true. When the WB became the CW, they did it in a piss poor way that caused some of my favorite shows to get canceled for stupid reasons, and I have never really seen anything on CW that I've been happy with. So I don't know what to say about that.
I've completely tuned out of CW in recent years. I just haven't even paid attention. I mean, we
Yeah,
make the odd joke about Batwoman and stuff like that.
Well,
but
everybody
I'm not
keeps
watching this stuff.
everybody keeps talking about how good, Superman, Lois Clark and whatever it is, Superman and Lois Lane or whatever. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I've been burned way too much by CW. It could be great the first season, maybe 2. It goes a third season, and you can be guaranteed that Lois Lane gets the superpowers and Clark becomes the cuck.
Who is the target audience for this show? Now, granted, it's kind of funny that CW Teenage Network, I was watching Babylon 5 as a teenager, okay?
Yeah.
That was like my teenager show. I was obsessed with it senior year of high school. I know some of the other geeky type guys, they like Star Trek or X-Files, but I was obsessed with Babylon 5. Now, Babylon 5 could be, I don't know, looking back, and maybe I'd see probably some of the uneven stuff on the show. Plus, I've read some of the stuff he based the show from, which is like Lord of the Rings and Legend Chronicles and other. I think
it's definitely there. Yeah.
And I don't know. J. Michael Straczynski, we'll see. They were going to get. He wrote the scripts for the Lensman movies that Universal never made, and that Ron Howard was going to direct them. So. I'm glad to see him working in science fiction again. We'll see how this turns out. It's either going to be good or it's going to be a disaster. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I kind of... They've always talked about doing a remake of Babylon 5 for years. They were talking about doing a movie years ago without any of the original cast, and I remember that was the thing. They were floating around and people got mad.
I'll tell you what. I mean, now doing it without the original cast, they kind of have to.
Yeah.
I mean, half of them have passed on,
J. Michael Straczynski also left outs he could use if actors left the show, and he had more than a couple of leavers. He may want to go back and take another crack at the characters he had cut due to casting issues. I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was inferring there.
It's possible, too. You could have Sheridan showing up with the previous Captain Sinclair disappearing under mysterious circumstances. That can be the start of the show rather than being the start of the second season where you lose your main character.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, another problem with Babylon 5 is I know for the time we were all marveling at the CG it was using and stuff, and now it's I mean, it's kind of charming in an old-fashioned way, right? I mean, it's actually all on HBO Max. I was taking a look at it real quick. But we'll see. If it's not some wokified thing for the Tumblr generation, maybe it might be something good. It just depends. He is involved, so that's the only thing that makes me even pay attention to this. If he wasn't involved, I wouldn't even care. But he is involved. We'll see. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I am very much in favor of the wait and see because honestly, I don't have high hopes. Usually that's the better way to be because, if you're just, you won't be quite as disappointed if you don't have high hopes.
It would be neat if they're actually trying to make the CW into a decent network. That would be a start, right? I don't know.
Well, I'm not holding my breath for that either.
Okay. I even understand skewing younger. Skewing younger doesn't mean making crap, okay?
No.
I mean...
It shouldn't. It shouldn't.
Should Babylon 5 move forward, it would be another key franchise revival for the CW and Warners at a time when well-known IP is being increasingly important as networks and streamers alike look to break through a cluttered landscape. I guess it is Warner Brothers' biggest science fiction property, if you think about it. If we're not counting everything they own by DC.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, that was something they could have mined a while ago. Green Lantern, that's a science fiction series.
Right?
Like that. Okay, let's get to the next article. It's getting late. Okay,
Yep.
Members of KISS express support for Gina Carano.
Yeah, we don't need to spend a lot of time on this, but I kind of got a kick out of this one.
How dare they? How dare they? Support for Gina Carano, blah, blah, blah. I'm kidding. I'm
Yeah.
Greta Thunberg now. Okay.
But, a lot of people more and more people are coming out against cancel culture. It's really shifting.
Well, it's gotten ridiculous. Did you
Yeah.
ever see Gene Simmons when he was on The Apprentice with Donald Trump?
Yeah, I did.
Back in
Sure.
the day?
Mhm.
That was funny. He had a contest going with Kodak, right, where they had to make an ad campaign for Kodak, right? And like the men were kicking butt, but they lost this one to the women. Okay, the women celebrities, and so Trump calls him in and he says, "Gene Simmons, who are you going to bring with you?" And he says, "I'm not going to bring anyone with me. Kodak was wrong." He basically just said that. He said they made the wrong choice. It was nothing we did, and but that, yeah, but that, I don't know. He was funny. He was.
Yep.
Okay, members of KISS express support for Gina Carano. Let me read from this article. Yep. When Gina Carano was canceled from The Mandalorian, people on both sides expressed their opinions. Some say they were right. Others say they weren't. But out of nowhere, some unexpected voices have expressed their displeasure of her being let go from the show. Star Wars-themed YouTube channel, the Bombadcast, went to a very VIP Q&A in Austin, Texas on September 29th. The Q&A session was with the popular 70s rock band KISS. Bombadcast member Scotty Gyro asked a question that seemed kind of random, but definitely had an interesting answer. Scotty said that he knew guitarist Gene Simmons really liked The Mandalorian. He asked Gene his opinion on Season 2, and Gene gave an interesting response. They should have kept the chick, even though she had different political points of views. It's not about politics. It's about whether you're a good actress.
Yep.
Okay.
Shocking. Surprise.
After being asked how Star Wars and KISS both became popular at the same time, singer Paul chimed in and said, "The whole cancel culture is dangerous.
Yep.
The idea of the people can't speak their mind. That's what freedom is all about. To lose your job because of something you said, even if I find it offensive. You got to look at that. Plus, she kicked my ass." I'm sorry. That's funny. Good.
That is funny. And I'm sure, yeah, you can't tell when you're reading it, but I bet you dollars to donuts he was saying it tongue in cheek.
Yeah, I don't know though. Gina Carano, she's
look.
Okay,
just because someone could do a thing doesn't mean they would. She doesn't strike me as the type of person that just goes around.
Picks a fight. Yes.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
I don't think so yeah, no, I'm just.
But she sure as hell doesn't back down from a fight.
She'll finish one if it starts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I have to tell you, really check out that movie Haywire if you get a chance. You get to basically see her. They have Michael Fassbender in it as basically a James Bond type, so you get to see her basically facing off basically James Bond
Yeah.
in a fight scene. It's really neat, actually. But let's see here though. Nick Cave. Okay. Cancel culture is bad religion rung amok. Wow. Political correctness has an asphyxiating effect on the creative soul of society, according to Nick Cave, who has criticized cancel culture in his latest newsletter where he calls it bad religion rung amok. In his latest Red Hand Files newsletter, the Australian musician was asked what he thinks of cancel culture. In response, he decried people's refusal to engage with difficult ideas and claimed that moving toward moving toward a more equal society could mean essential values were forfeited. Political correctness has grown to become the unhappiest religion in the world, he wrote. Its once honorable attempt to reimagine our society in a more equitable way now embodies all the worst aspects that religion has to offer and none of the beauty, moral certainty, and self-righteousness shorn even of the capacity for redemption. He added that cancel culture's refusal to engage with uncomfortable ideas has had an asphyxiating effect on the creative soul of society. Yep, it's why I'm here doing this show. And that creativity could knock at foundational beliefs and in doing so generate fresh ways of seeing the world. This is both the function and glory of art and ideas, he said. A force that finds its meaning in the cancellation of these difficult ideas hampers the creative spirit of a society and strikes at the complex and diverse nature of its culture. The musician who recently staged a live concert in Alexandria Palace, which was described as the most elaborately creative response to the constrictions of the lockdown, ended with a rhetorical question. We are a culture in transition, he wrote, and it may be that we are heading toward a more equal society. I don't know. But what essential values will we forfeit in the process?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is a very smart man.
Yep.
Cave has recently regularly discussed contemporary talking points in his newsletter, which he started in September 2018, which as why he and his band Bad Seeds decided to play in Israel and not back the boycott. Okay, all right. He has also responded to more personal topics such as his experiences of grief after his death of his 15-year-old son. Arthur, in 2015, answered more abstract queries such as, what is shyness? Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I know Nick Cave. He did the Red Right Hand song, right? You know,
I think so, yeah.
It's featured on the X-Files, too. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. But no, good on him.
This was what I was saying, though. There's more and more people coming out and saying this is not cool, and then I mean you've brought up the lefty talk show host talking about it too, and it's like when you start losing the left, when the left starts moving to the right in that regard, it's like wow, that's saying something.
Yeah. So well, here's the thing. It's not even just that. It's the fact that let's face facts. If you allow other people to be canceled, you may end up getting canceled yourself. In the past, the liberals and conservatives always used to argue with you, but you never had this aspect of people trying to destroy someone's life for something they said, okay, back in the 90s, okay? I mean, I'm sure Bill Maher said some things I didn't like too much back in the day, but I don't want to destroy him. Do you understand? This has changed in recent years with this whole, I don't know what the origins of all this is, but I know it started, I started to notice it around 2014, though. Yeah, that's when I started.
But the fact is, this is a cycle that comes around, and if you know your history, you know how to avoid it. And unfortunately, nobody is paying attention to history, and they're letting it happen all over again.
I know. Final article of the night.
Yep.
Okay. You made a shorty about this, but
I did
talk about this.
Do you want me to drop the link? I could share it.
Go ahead and drop the link after this. You check it out if you get a chance. John Leguizamo says, too bad they went all white with Super Mario Brothers movie casting.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
It actually has a fairly diverse cast. Not that it matters since it's all voice acting anyway.
And not that, you are,
Italian.
Yeah, exactly. He's a fucking hypocrite, and that's that video that I just dropped. Less than a minute. It will take you no time. I'd super appreciate it if you'd go give it a watch and hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down if you don't like it. But I think it's kind of funny. I'm sick of this bullshit. He comes out and says, "Oh, they decided to go all white."
No, they didn't. But
first, I'm sitting here as an American of Italian descent, going, Italians aren't white. I mean, and again, I'm the one who said I never had a problem with, Jewish people or Hispanic people playing Italians in The Godfather. They did a great job. I was all for it. Very good. Very good. James Caan is not Italian, but he did a great job, playing Sonny. Okay.
Yeah.
And what's his name? The kid from Godfather 3.
Andy Garcia.
Andy Garcia. I was gonna say he was also he also played an Italian in wasn't he also the Italian in The Untouchables? And it's like, for crying out loud, I never had a problem with that. I never had a problem with John Leguizamo playing Luigi.
I've never really had a problem with John Leguizamo up until he had to open his fat trap about this. Here's the thing. Okay, I don't know what this is about, but let me read a little from the article.
Yeah, go ahead.
The original Super Mario Brothers movie has a bone to pick with the new one. Last week, the voice cast was announced for the upcoming animated movie based on the classic Nintendo video game, including Chris Pratt as Mario and Charlie Day as Luigi. On Twitter, John Leguizamo, who played Luigi opposite Bob Hoskins in the original live-action film from 1993, reacted to the news about the reboot, expressing his excitement but offering some criticism. But too bad they went all white. No, if you look at the cast, you see very diverse people, including 2 black actors playing voices, and it's voice acting. No Latinx in the leads, that Latinx or however they pronounce it, even though I heard many people in the Latino community don't like that word.
Well, that's just it. I mean, and you can even see it in my comments on that video. Latinos do not like that term, unless they are so far, in the SJW Kool-Aid as this dingbat is. Yeah. That's not how the language works.
Groundbreaking colorblind casting in the original. I am going to say this about the original Super Mario Brothers movies. I know there are people out there that don't like it, and Nintendo especially doesn't like it. So maybe keep your mouth shut there, John, because you were going to get cast anyway because they are distancing themselves in the movie. I didn't hate it, though, okay?
No.
And I didn't have a problem with the casting, and neither did you.
Nope.
From the original casting.
We had a Latino or Latinx, if that's how he wants to be called, playing Luigi. We had a British actor playing Mario. Didn't have a problem with that either.
And back in 2013, marketing the 20th anniversary of the original film, Leguizamo defended the notorious flop, saying, "We made a lot of mistakes, but I'm proud of the movie in retrospect." That's fine. I don't argue with you. Along with Pratt and Day, the new animated movie will also feature star Anna Taylor-Joy as Peach. Anna Taylor-Joy is Latina. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
She is Argentinian. She's Argentinian descent. She speaks fluent Spanish. Okay?
Well, maybe just like the one actress, the one black actress who's not black enough to play a black character. Maybe this one is just not Latin enough to be Latin.
Well, I don't think he is speaking on behalf of the Latino community in this.
No, he's absolutely not.
He sounds like sour grapes of an actor that didn't get cast in the new Super Mario Brothers movie, which wasn't going to happen. And I want to make a point that I've liked John Leguizamo in other movies, so I have no problem with him as an actor. He was in The Land of the Dead. I liked him in that. Okay, this is not. I didn't have a problem with him in the original Super Mario Brothers movie. I don't know why he's stirring this up. I think he's in the Hollywood bubble, and he's in the cult, and he's gotten brainwashed. That's what I think is going on here, okay? What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, here's the other thing, and I point this out in my video, too. His parents named him John, not Juan. So he's kind of being a little bit of a hypocrite there. And he's a grown-ass man. He could have changed his name to Juan if he wanted to. He could start, Latinizing his name. He hasn't. And then he bitches about white actors. Yeah. Okay. That's fine.
Oh, for the record, I saw a tweet from Disney celebrating Latinx Heritage Day, and it had Muppets in the picture. So I believe Latinx refers to people who are ethnically puppets. I have to tell you, I did watch Cry Macho last night, and I liked what I believe Paulie on Latino Slant was saying. He said, which is a great channel, I highly recommend you guys subscribe to it. He made a point that Clint Eastwood did more for Hispanic Heritage Month than anyone else in Hollywood. Okay,
Yeah.
because it actually is a fairly positive story about it takes a lot of it takes place in Mexico, and it doesn't shy away from some of the stuff in Mexico, like some of the crime stuff, but it's not all bad. There are plenty of good people in Mexico. It shows you too. Okay, and it's a wonderful movie, and it's about basically how this guy becomes kind of a mentor figure to this young boy who's basically been kind of abandoned by his two parents. The one his father's in America, wants the kid back finally. Okay, but
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood is sent him to get the kid, and it's a great movie. I think it should get nominated for Best Picture. We'll see what happens. I don't know, but I think it's a good movie, and I highly recommend y'all check it out if you get a chance. Cry Macho, and I don't know if. And I don't know if the Super Mario Brothers movie coming up might be good too. Okay, except for Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. Hopefully, he's just doing grunting. Okay.
Well, yeah, I have no. I can't stand Seth Rogen anymore. But I mean, how can he screw up a voice acting role of a monkey? I mean, we'll be fine.
I'm going to say a lot of these actors too, like when they were younger, when Seth Rogen was younger, when he wasn't, doing drugs all the time, his acting was kind of funny. He was kind of like he was on one of my favorite shows, Freaks and Geeks, which was an Apatow production.
Just keep in mind,
well done, okay?
All of these left-wing liberals, okay, used to be all against the cancel culture, because the cancel culture back then was all the religious right that they hated. And they said it was wrong, and, people, diversity and all this kind of stuff. And now they've gone the opposite way. So they're all hypocrites.
But good on those musicians for standing up. Maybe it'll start music.
Yeah.
And maybe buy yourself a Nick Cave CD and a Kiss album, or at least buy a T-shirt or something. Maybe show them your support.
I'll tell you what, Kiss is still doing really well. In fact, I like to talk about the Mego figures, and although I've never been a big Kiss fan, it's not really Mego. It's actually a Figures Toy Company. Has all the Kiss action figures. Go check it out if you're interested.
Cool. All right. I think that about wraps it up. What you got going on this week? We got you and I
Tuesday over on Mr. Matchstick's channel. We will be doing Culture Fortress. I will be talking about the Hellraiser series. From the very first Hellraiser movie to what might be happening with it in the future.
And I will be talking about the great Lucio Fulci.
Oh, yeah, we'll do. I'm sorry. I was distracted by something going on over here.
No, what? Okay, no. I mean, we'll be talking. I think Wolf 10's going to be on it as well, and Mr. Matchstick has his own segment. So check it out if you get a chance. This is basically stuff that has not been infected by the woke. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what the cultural fortress.
I do want to bring up a point, though. I meant to bring this up earlier. Sometimes things we think are infected by the woke have just had woke marketing. Now, at the same time, do I want to reward woke marketing? No.
Well,
not really.
Yeah, and I kind of was talking.
The actual product that comes out is not as woke.
I was kind of talking about this with the guys from Midnight's Edge. I basically said, look, maybe James Bond wasn't the woke fest we all expected it to be, but I cannot tolerate the gaslighting anymore. If that's how they market it, then as far as I'm concerned, that's what it is, and I'm not going to be patronizing it.
Yeah.
They need to learn.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. And Wednesday, I'll be on Daniel Herron's channel. We will be redoing a rewatch of The Omen. The Great Omen.
That is a great movie.
The original, Richard Donner.
Yep.
Before Superman, he did The Omen. Okay.
Yep.
Richard Donner is funny. Do you know the scene in the movie where a sheet of glass falls out the back of the car and lops one of the people's heads off?
Yes.
He said that when you go to a movie, there's the part in the movie where the person covers their eyes when they know the bloody scene's coming up, right?
Right.
He said he did a timing trick in that so that the person, he did like a thing, theorized that they'll cover their eyes for only like 2 or 3 seconds, right? And then open their eyes again. He did it so that the thing was still going after the part where they also uncover their eyes and they see it again.
Yes, he did.
Double whammy. He's funny.
But what ended up happening was he ended up making it a cringy, not scary, almost laughable scene. Yeah, you'll have to check that out.
I hate to break this to you. I find a lot of, I don't want to call them satanic panic movies, but like a lot of the devil movies from the 70s.
Sure.
There's kind of a wink in the nod with a lot of them. I mean, The Exorcist I think is the most serious.
Yeah.
But like The Omen, the Omen's funny, and to be fair, it is a great movie, great performance by Gregory Peck.
Yeah.
But you know, it is actually my favorite of those, and it's terrifying. You know, like what would the Antichrist be like as a child? You know,
yeah.
Think about it, and that actually is
well, and it's a great take on kind of taking the whole nativity and flipping it. You know, I think they may go a little overboard and a little bit literal on some of it, but it's still really, really good.
Do you know who wrote the screenplay? It was a born again Christian who said he didn't really believe in the devil before the movie, before he wrote the screenplay, and when he was done, he said he did. Isn't that interesting? Yes,
that is interesting. But yeah, so yeah, if I don't have a D&D game on Wednesday night, I'll be in the peanut gallery because I love that movie, and I've got it on DVD, and I got the whole collection on DVD.
Well, heck, you know, if you're free, maybe I'll even convince Matchstick to bring you in. We'll see. Okay, all right, if you're interested.
Well, don't.
Okay,
push
well,
anything
you could just
but,
you could always just listen to us too.
But if he wants me, I'll be there. Sure.
All right, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we'll figure it out. You can always just listen, and I'll figure out what he wants. I don't know if he has if he has a guest plan for that day either. I don't know. As long as we have guests on there. Okay. This was fun. Sorry if my
one
voice
last thing
nasally was all over the place tonight. I'm getting
before
over
we end, real quick, I just wanted to give a shout out. Nanette just dropped a video on her channel. Those of you that don't already subscribe to her, go over to Nanetter's Network, check out her video.
Cool.
I gave it a thumbs up and a comment, but I haven't even had a chance to watch it yet because I was here with all of you. So get over there and check it out and give her a little encouragement because she's always here working the wrench and doing everything she can to encourage all of you. Okay?
Cool. And yeah, she's getting pretty high up. She's getting close to a milestone with her subscriber count.
Yeah, she's getting real close to 100, which is maybe not a lot in YouTube world, but it would mean a lot to her. So if you're not already subscribed, go give her a subscription, huh?
All right, cool. All right, guys, catch you later.
Take care, everyone. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.